A beautiful Thursday night in Montreal. There is a heat wave in town. There's a pretty hot football team visiting as well in the 3-0 Hamilton Tiger Cats up against the Alouettes in their home opener in the Brick. Thursday night football from Molson Stadium at McGill.
It's homecoming day for this guy. Terrific Canadian thus far in the Canadian Football League season. Running back Sean Thomas Erlington of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Over 100 yards from scrimmage in each of the Ticats' first 3 games this season. Over 100 yards receiving for him last week versus these Alouettes. And looking to stop him on the other side will be another terrific Canadian player, the linebacker Enoch Mwamba. You heard Mike Benavides talk about him in the pregame, #1 overall pick back in 2011. The man at the heart of the Alouettes defense.
There's Orlando Steinhauer in his first year as a head coach in the CFL, a longtime assistant. He was a member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats when they last won the Grey Cup 20 years ago in 1999, and off to a good start. He's already had the bath from the Gatorade bucket for his first victory. That was against Saskatchewan 3 weeks ago in week 1. And Kahari Jones, similar story, but very different circumstances. Great player, longtime assistant, but the head coaching job thrust upon him just days before the start of the regular season with the sudden firing of Mike Sherman. So here we go. The rematch between the Ticats and the Owls. Hamilton won the toss and deferred. It is coming down to Ryder Stone at the Montreal 15 to get this game underway at a Thursday night, and he has a good return. Stone finally gets it up to the 45 and across before he is taken down. So good field position for Vernon Adams and the Alouettes to work with.
And this should be a nice confidence boost for Vernon Adams as he takes the helm of this Alouette offense. I thought he had a decent start to the game last week, although his suggestion was that he was maybe a little jumpy in the early going, but seemed to struggle a little bit more as that game wore on. Remember, he missed that one deep shot early to DeVere Posey. It seems like if he can hit one early, it'll go a long way to get him settled down.
Big return of 34 yards for number 32, Ryder Stone, setting up the Alouettes at their 47. Vernon Adams handing off. And that's William Standback, the running back, and a short gain on first down.
Well, taking a look at this Alouettes offense, the aforementioned DeVere Posey out of the lineup. So a little bit of juggling sees first-year man Quan Bray out of Auburn in at the slot position. On the offensive line, Kate mentioned it, and Davis mentioned it. Sorry, Davis, he's not starting at fullback, but Luc Brodeur-Jourdain plays game number 168 of his career. The final game of his career, he starts at center.
Remarkable career on the field and as an ambassador for the game here in Montreal, too. They appreciate him, and it's Quan Bray, Dwayne just talked about, is his first year out of Auburn and thrust into this position, especially with the injury to DeVere Posey and the juggling they've done in that Montreal offense.
You see the Alouettes are going to max protect here, give Vernon Adams as much time as they can, keeping 7 in, 2 backs in that backfield. Get things blocked up, allow him to deliver that strike to Quan Bray.
So a good start for Vernon Adams. He needs it. 3-2 as a starter in the CFL, won all 3 of his starts back in 2016. And off to Standback. There was lots of room. Another first down and more. William Standback trying to take it all the way. And he just about does. Frankie Williams hauls him out. And actually they're marking it now at the 7-yard line. So step on the just out of bounds there. Looked like he was closer to the end zone, but a big gain, a 46-yard Standback.
Well, keep an eye here on the nickel linebacker, Rico Murray. He starts to give a blitz look and gets caught in no man's land. He's halfway between covering Standback and going on that blitz. That allows Standback to outflank him, nobody to protect that sideline. It turns into a big gain.
This is the start the Alouettes need, losing by 31 in Hamilton last week. It is first and goal from the 7. Adams, Alouettes, Standback, no, fake to him, and it is Quan Bray with the ball and lost yardage of about 3 or 4.
And this will give us a chance to take a look at the Ticats starting defense, including Jagarrett Davis. The former Stampeder had a couple of sacks when these two teams met last week. Justin Tuggle, the former Toronto Argonaut, has been a nice find replacing Larry Dean in the middle of that linebacking core. And on the back end, newcomer from the Calgary Stampeders, Tunde Adeleke out of Carleton University, is at free safety.
So second and goal now, but further out as Adams takes off. Across the line of scrimmage, trying to get in, but he is tripped up shy of the goal line. Frankie Williams doing it there. So interesting now with a couple of yards to go. It is a third down. And I'm sure they'd like to open with a field goal. They'd like a whole lot more to open with a touchdown, the way they know the Ticats can score.
Yeah, not a very forgiving spot, unfortunately, for the Montreal Alouettes. You'd see as Adams took off, he was looking for somebody to pick up some blocks for him when he decided he wanted to run, but they were split second late in reacting to his signal, allowing a couple tacklers free to get to him.
Third and goal, and it's outside the 2, closer to the 3-yard line. So in comes Boris Beatty.
Yeah, I think inside the 2, it seemed as if Kahari Jones was leaning towards going for it, but beyond that.
Many of the coaches in the sidelines, in the stands, I should say, disagreed with it, but points on the board for the Alouettes. A good start, moving it down the field. 3 on the board for Montreal. It's Thursday Night Football, presented by The Brick. We'll be back. 1978. Thursday Night Football on TSN is presented by The Brick, saving you more. Early on in Montreal, and it's the Alouettes with the lead after the 10-yard Boris Beatty field goal. And Jeremiah Mazzoli, he had some good numbers, except for one thing last week. He threw 3 interceptions, Dwayne.
Well, this is one of the interesting things about the Alouettes' start to the season, Rod, being winless at this point in the season. Yet this team is a +4 in terms of the turnover battle. The defense, while giving up some big plays, has also made some.
Sean Thomas Erlington, Montreal native, lots of family and friends here to watch him, and what a great start to the season he's had, not just running, receiving the football over 100 yards last week.
And he'll be joined in that Ticats offense, rejoined by Luke Tasker, perennial 1,000-yard receiver for the Cats, comes back after missing a couple games with injury, but Braylon Addison out of the lineup along the offensive line. Keep an eye on left guard Brandon Revenberg, one of the best in the league, tops in the East in 2018.
He's an injured Alouette, and it's their boundary corner, Tommy Campbell, very slow to get off on his own feet, though. Mentioning Mazzoli's numbers, and overall, of course, very good, second only to Trevor Harrison passing yards through 3 weeks, and did have 417 yards passing last week in their rout 31-point victory over the Alouettes. Campbell coming over to the Alouettes last year. Of course, he had a prominent start to his career with Calgary Stampeders, and Paul Kozacek in to take his place on the boundary corner. Second down, no gain for Sean Thomas Erlington. So Mazzoli to pass, and does, and intercepted. Glenn Love stepping in front of Brendan Banks. And that ball is in Hamilton territory, and another sign of a different start for the Alouettes in this game. Picked off 3 times last week, including the opening drive. Picked off in the opening drive here tonight in Montreal.
Everything you need to go.
The veteran Glenn Love comes up with the interception. Longtime special teamer. He playing at the linebacker spot here. Now he starts off, he's giving you a little bit of a man look right over top of Luke Tasker on the inside, but you'll see once Tasker releases, he gives that look like he's going to cover him, and then he bails to get underneath that route on Brandon Banks, kind of baiting the quarterback and then darting to make a play on that football. Big turnover for the Owls.
And a good first possession. Vernon Adams and the Alouettes, and another one on the go here with one play, a strike to B.J. Cunningham, and Montreal in business again at the 30-yard line of Hamilton.
And let's keep an eye on B.J. Cunningham out of that boundary slot. Last week against Hamilton, the Alouettes leaned heavily on that boundary side. It was DeVere Posey and Cunningham there last week. This week, Eugene Lewis moves in for the injured DeVere Posey. He's out at that wideout spot. Quan Bray, as we mentioned earlier, taking Lewis's spot at slot, frequently lining up to the field.
Gain of 22, first and 10 from the 30. And it's Steph Logan with a rare carry on offense. Normally just a specialist returning kicks, but pretty good gain on first down for the veteran, 38 years of age, Steph Logan.
And for Vernon Adams as he settles in and gets more reps. The goal for him is to remain calm. He felt like he was a little bit too hyped up at the start of last game. A little jumpy may have contributed to the the overthrow that we mentioned on that deep shot early to DeVere Posey. So he just wants to kind of take a breath, stay calm back there this week.
Knew he had the start last week. Back in week 1, he came off the bench for the injured Antonio Pipkin and admitted that dynamic is different sometimes for the Nerves. Over the middle again, it's Eugene Lewis inside the 20. So this drive continues. It's another first down. Montreal back into the Hamilton red zone.
This may be a good opportunity for Eugene Lewis to get a little bit more involved in the Alouettes offense. This is a guy who had over 40 catches, over 800 yards as a full-time starter last season, but he's been off to a slow start. Just 3 catches through the first couple of games for the Alouettes. So moving to play a little bit more frequently on that boundary side may provide him an opportunity to get more involved here.
Alouettes weren't in the red zone at all last week. They're 2 for 2 so far tonight. And more power there. Williams stand back, keeps driving, and a good second effort inside the 10. Second and short, Montreal.
Well, love the look of the 2-back offense. Nice lead block here from the fullback Spencer Moore, and Williams stand back, establishing himself as about as good a power runner as there is in the Canadian Football League. Fights through some contact. Pick up some positive yardage on that one.
Gain of 8, second and 2. Montreal on the move, and they're up by 3. Stand back again, and this time he is met by Dylan Wynn, and that yardage didn't come easily, but he does have enough for a first and goal for the Alouettes.
Well, Dylan Wynn, the Oregon State product, another of the free agent signings on that Hamilton Tiger Cat defense. He comes over after 2 years with the Toronto Argonauts. Started off on a double team on him that he managed to fight through as they worked up to second level. Penetrated that block to make first contact in the backfield.
Alouettes in scoring position again. This game taking on a very different tone than a week ago. Adams, stand back again, into the end zone, and an Alouettes touchdown. A very different tone than a week ago.
Well, Ron, we talked about the turnovers that the Alouettes defense had been generating, and yes, they had given up some big plays as well, but one of the issues that they had through their first couple games is the offense hadn't really been able to capitalize on those turnovers. But here we see in the first quarter, big interception by Glenn Love, and Vernon Adams Jr. marches the offense down the field for a major and a quick 9-0 lead here, with Boris Beatty looking to add to that.
Beatty, the point after. And up and through. And they get a 10-0 lead after a 6-play, 52-yard drive following the interception by Glenn Love. Montreal 10, the 3-0 Hamilton Tiger Cats nothing. It's The Brick, Thursday Night Football on TSN.
Whoa.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Montreal Alouettes have had the ball twice. They have scored on both possessions. First, a field goal when they got close, and then that man on the right, William Standback, with the touchdown to give the Alouettes the 10-0 lead.
Standback with a couple terrific runs, and Vernon Adams Jr. off to a nice start here early in the rematch with the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Confidence boost for Adams, 5 for 5, 79 yards so far on this one. Beatty with the kickoff. And it's Frankie Williams, a great return specialist for the Ticats, back inside his goal line to take it. Williams breaks one tackle, and he gets taken down nicely there by Jean-Samuel Blanc on the special teams for the Alouettes.
Well, let's take a look back at the touchdown drive, and it all began with a little bit of help from the defense. Interception by Glenn Love. Vernon Adams seemingly finding his groove early. Of course, the work of William Standback should help provide a little added time and protection for the quarterback should he continue to produce like he did on that touchdown drive.
This is the second Ticats possession. The first one ended when Jeremiah Masoli threw an interception to Glenn Love. So a slow start. Let's see what Hamilton can do to respond right there. It's Anthony Coombs with the carry, the former Toronto Argonaut, signing with the Ticats. Of course, his career derailed by injuries, but good to see him out there playing again.
Well, it certainly is. We take a look at the Alouette defense. Keep an eye on Ryan Brown at the defensive tackle spot. Big, tall, good pass rusher. Patrick Levels is a guy who's bounced around from nickel. Moved to corner briefly with the injury to Campbell.
2 quick touches for Anthony Coombs and a first down for the Ticats up across their 40.
On the back end as well, watch for Ciante Evans. Ian Levels, 2 former Calgary Stampeders. Free agent acquisitions during this past offseason. Anthony Coombs, former number 3 overall pick in the CFL draft. As you mentioned, started his career with the Toronto Argonauts back in 2014.
But missed a lot of time, only 2 games he got in last year. And that one, Sean Thomas Erlington, he is hit low by Tommy Campbell, and Thomas Erlington is still down in this much anticipated return to Montreal. Campbell got him very low and in obvious pain, right down around the Montreal or Hamilton 44.
Yeah, and these are the ones that as an offensive player, the hit that makes you cringe. Looks like he hyperextended that left knee as he kind of had his head turned looking for that ball as Campbell went low on him.
That young man has been a remarkable story. We've talked a lot about him, just the great start to the season he has had. Drafted in the 8th round, 66th overall in 2017. And last week, 9 carries, 47 yards, 5 catches for 102, but down right now after the hit by Tommy Campbell, Sean Thomas Erlington. We'll take a break and we'll be back here in Thursday Night Football right after this. The much anticipated homecoming for Sean Thomas Erlington has taken a bad turn now as Connor McGuff and Jackson Bennett helped him off the field. Dwayne, this is the hit where the injury occurred.
Yeah, you can see he's got his head turned. He's focused on the football. Tommy Campbell is coming up, preparing himself for contact. Thomas Erlington gets his head around at the last second, but just had that left foot planted as contact was made. And he got his head around in time to see it, but couldn't avoid it.
And on the second down, and a completion, but it is shy of a first down for the Ticats. And of course, you hate to see it on a lot of different levels. And one, of course, the obvious one, but I mean, also with all friends and family here to watch him play and how well he's been playing too, coming into this game. So Lirim Hajrullahu to punt it for Steph Logan, back inside his 20. In tight, but Logan finds some room and just couldn't get by Hajrullahu. But a good return to get it up near midfield. Coming up at halftime, musical entertainment from Montreal's own Zach Zoya. A sensation here in Montreal. With more, let's head down to Brody Lawson.
The Thursday Night Football concert series continues tonight with another incredible act. So make sure you guys stick around. It's Zach Zoya and the crew. Zach, you ready?
I'm always ready. What
are you bringing tonight?
Energy, fun, hopefully, and just a little vibe at the halftime.
Stick around at half, guys. We'll see you then.
Walking around, people looking at me like an ET little boy.
All right, Brody, you know who else is ready? William Stanback has the 1 touchdown in this game, a good carry on first down across midfield. 2 possessions, they have scored on both of them, and the Alouettes on the move again.
Well, one of the things with which the Alouettes have been afforded in the early going, courtesy of a couple of good returns, first from Ryder Stone on the kickoff, now from Steph Logan on the punt, and a turnover, good starting field position.
Step over midfield. Adams, short pass for B.J. Cunningham, and nearly intercepted as Richard Leonard is taking it.
Yeah, they'll play this through before they review it. Safer to call it an interception and then review it.
So it looked like it hit the ground, and yeah, to your point, no point in blowing the whistle in case they have it wrong, let it play out. So Richard Leonard does take it for what would be a touchdown if it counts, and as you can see, it will not.
Yeah, the one hopper. Richard Leonard does exactly as he should, though. Sell it and play it. Credit to Adrian Tracy, who got a hand on that football
The
on the
previous
rush.
play is under review by the command center.
Should be a very short review.
Should be. Tiger Cats, slow starters despite the 3-0 record. In their last 2 games, they have 105 points, but in the first quarter, only 3.
After review, the ruling on the field is overturned to an incomplete pass. 3rd down.
So that goes off the left hand of B.J. Cunningham, thrown high and behind him, and nearly falls into the midst of Richard Leonard, but he took it off the hop. He took it to the house, but to no avail. It's a 3rd down now, and for the first time in this game, early as it is in the first quarter, Boris Beattie will be on to punt it away for Montreal.
Frankie Williams back to see if he can flip this field a little bit and change the way that this field position battle has gone in the early going. Alouettes dominating that part of the game.
And on the return, it's Frankie Williams. And he is taken down by Christophe Normand, and a flag is down after he is down. Well, Friday Night Football, it's tomorrow. And the week continues with the Blue Bombers and the Red Blacks. Great matchup. A couple of 2-0 teams. That action gets underway at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on TSN. Winnipeg improving to 2-0 last week, beating Edmonton. And I'm sure the Red Blacks are saying, what about us? All this talk about Hamilton. Ottawa off to a perfect start so far as well. Big one tomorrow night.
Well, that should be a fantastic game. I'm sure Dominique Davis is really looking forward to facing off against his old team in that ball game.
Al Bradbury with the call and what happened after that punt return by Frankie Williams. Not quite yet ready for the announcement. And yet, to your point about Davis, I remember when he was a backup to Matt Nichols in Winnipeg and ended up with the Red Blacks. So that's tomorrow night, TD Place in Ottawa. Right here, we got a 10-0 game. Somewhat surprising the way the Alouettes and the Ticats have looked. For Orlando Steinhauer in his first year as a head coach and off to a perfect start in his head coaching career. This game number 4. Well, this is getting an awful lot of discussion. Let's see. As the referee Bradbury awaits word. Hot, muggy night here in Montreal. 32 degrees.
Major foul, Spearing. Montreal, number 37. 15 yards at the end of the play, automatic 1st down.
So Martin Bedard, the long snapper for the Alouettes, coming down, and he gets called for spearing. And so that gives Jeremiah Masoli and the Ticats better field position to work with, up at their 37 to start off this drive. Under 4 minutes to go until quarter time. As Masoli steps up, has a receiver up across the 50, and then a little bit more, and the ball comes out, and Patrick Levels is with it, but already whistled dead. Jalen Acklin on the receiving end for the Tiger Cats.
And with Sean Thomas Erlington out of the ball game, in at running back is the rookie number 20, Malik Irons. He was a 3rd-round pick this year, number 22 overall. You heard Mike Benavides mention they were committed to going Canadian in the backfield this year. That's why they went after Irons on draft day.
And it's Luke Tasker with his first catch since week 1 when he suffered a shoulder injury and was even spitting up some blood. Kept out for a couple of weeks and back in the lineup, and another big catch for Tasker and the Ticats as they get to the Montreal 45 working tempo. Mazzoli in a rhythm, and he's got one going with Tasker all of a sudden. 2 quick strikes to number 17, and here come the Ticats down by 10, but on the move now.
Well, 2 weeks out of the lineup certainly isn't going to be enough to break the chemistry between Luke Tasker and Jeremiah Masoli. Tasker averaging over 1,000 yards a season over the last 5 years.
He had 4 catches for 30 yards in week 1 against Saskatchewan before he was injured. Now flags coming out all over the place, and Jeremiah Masoli on the carry.
Yeah, Masoli gave himself up with the feet first slide. Rules being called very tightly this year that when he does that, you can't touch him at all. And this is a tough one for the defender.
Offside, Montreal, number 7. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Montreal, number 34. Penalties are both accepted, automatic first down.
So first John Bowman in the offside, but it's Glenn Love with the big interception earlier in this game. He gets flagged for what Dwayne was talking about in that late hit on Jeremiah Masoli.
Yeah, and this is a tough one because this to me is a bit of a bang-bang play. The timing is pretty tight. You can see Love is kind of committed to the hit at the same time as Masoli's committing to the slide. A lot of quarterbacks, you anticipate the slide, but Glenn Love, I'm sure, would have seen Jeremiah Masoli drop the shoulder on Ryan Carter on a run last week. You don't know what he's going to do. Tough call.
Penalty helps this drive out more. Deepest for the Ticats easily in this game, and an end zone look. And it was intended for Acklin again, but that one goes too far, so second down.
Well, the target here is Jalen Acklin, the newcomer out of Western Illinois. He's lined up out wide. Biggest receiver in this Ticat core. Kind of look to him to provide some of the size that they gave up with the loss of Terrence Tolliver, who had been in black and gold the last couple of seasons.
And missing a receiver in the injured Braylon Addison. Was in last week's, but not in this game tonight. Masoli on the move to the end zone and a touchdown. Jalen Acklin just keeps the feet in the end zone and comes down with that ball. And the Tiger Cats strike back quickly.
A terrific athletic play from Jalen Acklin. Masoli steps up and throws a strike. This is a pretty tight window just over the outstretched hand of Tommy Campbell. Greg Reed is closing on the ball, but you see the focus to bring it in and the awareness to get those feet down inbounds in the end zone for his first career CFL touchdown.
6 plays, 73 yards, helped out a bit by that penalty in just a little over 2 minutes time, and the first CFL touchdown for Jalen Acklin. He had a good first game back in week 2 against the Argos, 5 catches for 59 yards, but he'll remember that. Keeping the feet down in the end zone for 6, and they want to add 2. And Masoli himself, he faked it to Irons, and he kept it himself, and Fabian Foote, among others, is saying no, but we got a rugby scrum trying to push Masoli, their quarterback, over the line, but no. So it just remains a 6-point touchdown for Hamilton, trailing by 4.
Kind of an interesting play call to me in going for the 2-point convert. I think a lot of times you're thinking in terms of limiting the hits on your starting quarterback. Masoli certainly an effective runner and a guy who can use that as a weapon. But I think in that situation, might look to let somebody else take the shot. There's a look back at the touchdown pass to Jalen Acklin, former Leatherneck, Western Illinois.
And with that, beautifully done by Acklin. With that, in terms of points, it's the best first quarter of point production for the Ticats this young season. They had 3 in week 1 against Saskatchewan, none against the Argos, even though they blew them out 64-14 later, and then just 3 points, a 3-3 tie after one against this Alouette team last week in Hamilton. So a 10-6 game, Montreal still with the lead, but Ticats waking up from a slow start, as they've been wont to do.
Come on, Ryder.
Ryder Stone back for it again. He had a good return to open up this game. Gets across the 25 before he is taken down.
Available intelligent around view monitor and standard rear cross traffic alert. Don't settle for less than the Nissan Rogue.
Well, Nick Shortle, former Alouette, and on the tackle, special teams demon out of McMaster. Making the play, got into a little bit of a scuffle after a special teams tackle with Steph Logan last week.
William Standback on the carry, tries to bust it outside, but there's a bunch, including Simone Lawrence and Richard Leonard, in there to make sure he doesn't go very far at all. Standback, it's a little over 5 carries and 20 yards, but he does have that touchdown for Montreal in this game. And Mazzoli 2 for 4, 13 yards, the interception before that touchdown toss, before that drive that led to the touchdown, excuse me. A much better drive it was. Good coverage there, and the intended receiver is Bray. And that falls incomplete. Quan Bray.
Yeah, long throw there out to the wide side of the field. Not a long way down the field, but a long way across the field. It allows Frankie Williams to make a play on the football.
So Mazzoli and the Ticats will get it back. Brandon Banks back for a punt return. He's scored just about every way so far this young season, but a punt return. He hasn't a missed field goal, and of course, offensively as a receiver and a running back as well.
Jeremiah Mazzoli looks to go to work. You know, Rod, we talked in the pregame about the launching point, so to speak, in the middle of 2017 for Brandon Banks when he became a regular in that offense. The other thing, of course, that coincided with that was Jeremiah Mazzoli taking over as the starting quarterback for the Ticats.
Moved the ball very effectively. Last drive. And throwing it down deep in very tight coverage, and a flag comes out on Ryan Carter. It'll be interference against the Alouettes, and another big gain by penalty. The receiver, the intended one, Marcus Tucker, for the Ticats.
Defensive pass interference, Montreal, number 25. Spot the foul, automatic. First down.
Well, you've got Mike Jones out wide, takes that outside release. He looked like he had a half step here, has a bit of separation. You know, I think the way the ball was thrown kind of high and outside, Jones might have been able to keep going, but it's the fact that he kind of stops as he's trying to gauge where the ball's going that essentially causes the contact and draws the flag for the big gain.
Late in quarter time, this should be the last play, barring a penalty, as Mazzoli eludes the pressure and then just throws it away on that first down. So it is quarter time. A great start for the Montreal Alouettes, scoring in their first 2 possessions, but Hamilton does answer back in a drive by Mazzoli. They get on the board. It's a 10-6 ball game. Montreal leads after 1 on the Brick. Thursday Night Football on TSN.
I didn't.
First quarter stats here in Montreal, and the big surprise, Dwayne, the start by the Alouettes. I mean, a good opening kickoff return, and they drove down for a field goal, followed up after an interception with a nice touchdown drive, and Vernon Adams is pretty confident.
Yeah, and this is what the Alouettes were looking for, certainly was a good start in this football game. As we alluded to, good field position on 3 possessions really helped the Alouettes out in this. Their return game, their special teams making contribution, but I think has helped their offense, and obviously the defense continuing to generate turnovers and create opportunities.
Big concern, though, when you deal with the Ticats after the first quarter, when they're slow out of the gate. It can be a different story in quarters 2, 3, and 4. The last couple of weeks anyway, when Hamilton's offense has absolutely exploded, putting 64 on the board 2 weeks ago and then 41. But you saw Sean Thomas Erlington, the Montreal native, comes home and on the bench now after being injured in that first quarter. So I hate to see that. The Ticats do get a touchdown afterwards, and they're going to work right now, but under pressure as Levels nearly got Jeremiah Mazzoli on the run, and Glenn Love pushes him out. And so on that 2nd and 10, not enough for a first down for the Tiger Cats.
Well, this one looked like initially like it was going to turn into a big loss as the Alouettes brought some heat. Patrick Levels coming from his nickel linebacker spot. Jeremiah Mazzoli again demonstrating his running ability to at least turn it into a positive play and protect this field goal opportunity for Lirim Hajrullahu.
Lirim Hajrullahu now, the field goal try from the 36. And he puts it through. His only miss was last week against the Alouettes. He is 8 for 9 on the season, and that gets them to within a point of the Alouettes at 10-9. Witness per story. as the FIFA Women's World Cup France comes to an end tomorrow with a final match of the tournament. The United States is up against the Netherlands head-to-head in a battle to hoist the World Cup trophy. Coverage beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, only on TSN and CTV. Second quarter underway. Alouettes still with the lead, but 10-0 has dissolved into a 10-9 advantage now. For Vernon Adams, had a good first quarter, 5 for 7, 79 yards. Going to work now with the blitz coming, and they've got him. Down goes Adams. Ted Laurent is there. Adrian Tracy as well.
Pressure from all over the place here. You've got Adrian Tracy coming off the edge. He's right here. Rico Murray's coming from behind him. And Ted Laurent gets that great push to dent the middle of the pocket. Put the finishing touches on that sack. Ted Laurent, Montreal native, lived here till he was about 12. And then moved to live with his aunts in Georgia, where he went to high school before moving on to the University of Mississippi.
His third sack of the season, tying him with teammate Jagarrett Davis for second in the CFL. And once again, that's Quan Bray, one of the newcomers in the receiving corps for the Alouettes. And a good gain, but it's going to be about 3rd and 1, so the punting team comes on for Montreal.
Well, that Ticat defense that it's been overshadowed a little bit by the team's offensive output in the early going, but settling in, doing a nice job for their new coordinator, Mark Washington.
Martin Bedard to snap the ball. 34. Beatty under pressure. They got a piece of it. That ball out of bounds near midfield as a flag does come out, but good pressure on special teams for the Hamilton Tiger Cats as we await this call.
Well, you're going to get a flag for the ball going out of bounds in between the 20s in the air. But that was deflected behind the line of scrimmage.
So the tide of this game has certainly been turning since that great start by Montreal. As it looks like Masoli and the Ticats offense will have great field position early in this second quarter. Beatty standing back and trying to get it away. Connor McGuff is there. And it's Dean. Looks like he got a piece of it. Disappointing night for that man. Sean Thomas Erlington of Montreal back home with the Ticats and injured in the first quarter. Let's get an update now from John Liu.
Thank you, Rod. And the news is not good for Sean Thomas Erlington. A Ticats official says that he is out of the game with a left leg injury. He's been sitting on the trainer's table for about the last 25 minutes after the trainer worked on for about 5, but he took his shoulder pads and jersey off. And then we were told just a few minutes ago that he's out for the game. His left knee is, his left leg is bandaged just below the knee, and it remains to be seen the extent of the injury. But disappointing for Thomas Erlington, disappointing for the Cats, and certainly for his family and friends. Naughty strong here for the Montreal native, out in full force, but they won't get to see him play the rest of this game, guys.
Oh, it's such a shame. You know, there were so many keenly interested in watching how his career was going and getting the chance to see him tonight.
Yeah, and I know he was excited to have this opportunity to play in front of friends and family for the first time as a Canadian Football League starter.
And it's Malik Irons, who had a couple of big carries a couple of weeks ago in Toronto, one to set up a touchdown and one to finish it off, backing up Sean Thomas Erlington. And look what he has done so far, really bursting out in this young season.
Yeah, well, big shoes for young Malik Irons to fill when you look at what Sean Thomas Erlington has done in the early going here. Over 100 yards rushing in the win over Toronto. In week 2, over 100 yards receiving. Had a big 75-yard catch and run for a touchdown last week against the Alouettes.
And once a college star here in Montreal with the U of M, Carabin flagged down just with a snap of the football on that second down play.
Procedures. Hamilton, number 61, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
So 2nd and 5 turns into a 2nd and 10 for the Tiger Cats. Riker Matthews.
Interesting chat with Orlando Steinauer yesterday. He's a guy who's been a long-time defensive coach in this league, coaching the secondary and as a defensive coordinator, but spent last year helping out on the offensive side of the ball under June Jones.
Mazzoli tries to set up the screen for Irons, but it falls incomplete, and it'll be 3rd down just like that. After that short punt partially blocked on Boris Beatty, it looks like the Alouettes will get out of this unscathed, as the Ticats are just hoping to pin him deep with Liram Hairolau, who's standing back at his 45.
Defensive coordinator Bob Slowick starting to settle in to life in the Canadian Football League here in Game 3 for the Owls.
And down a player, and very quickly getting on in teams is Irons back on the field. Ticats able to get that straightened away as Hairolau aims for the corner on Steph Logan. It bounces the 15. No yards flag comes out, and a 5-yard no yards penalty as he takes it off the hop. Montreal football again. And Montreal with the narrowest of leads. 10-9, 2nd quarter, the brick. Thursday Night Football.
Made with natural chicken stock.
Good night for William Stanback so far. 7 touches. He has 26 yards rushing. He has 46 yards receiving. He has Montreal's only touchdown in this game. And in limited action last year after replacing Tyrell Sutton, he was averaging 6.7 yards a carry. And certainly can be a very effective running back in Montreal.
William Stanback is a guy that, even going back to last year, they consider one of the building blocks for this team.
So Montreal football, they scored on their first 2 possessions. They've gone 2 and out since. Stanback with it, though. And he's got a 1st down and more. William Stanback with a big gain up over midfield for Montreal. You mentioned last year they would have liked to have got him the ball more often, and new head coach Kahari Jones says that's the mission. Get number 31 more involved in the game.
He's a special player. He's a guy who has a lot of speed, a lot of elusiveness to him, and and he's still learning, and that's the kind of fun part about it. He's still figuring out the game a little bit, and so as we go on, we're gonna find different ways to get the balls in his hands.
He's well over 100 total yards and a big gain for another 1st down. 36 yards in the previous carry and about 12 more yards there, Dwayne.
Yeah, as you hear Kahari say, they want to try to find different ways to get the ball in his hands. I'd say just handing it to him seems to be working just fine so far on this drive. Stanback chewing up yardage, running through tacklers, doing what he does best, a guy who is a terrific combination of speed and power.
Absolutely. In his 2nd year out of Virginia Union, went to the University of Central Florida before that. 3rd straight carry, and this time he's greeted. And does he lose the football? The Ticats say they have it. They were definitely keeping him busy, and coming up with it is Jagarrett Davis, as it looks like, yes, indeed, it is Hamilton football after that fumble by William Stanback.
The Ticat defense converged pretty quickly at the point of attack here. Big collision right in the hole. You're going to see the fullback, Spencer Moore, coming from the left. He's going to work his way in and take on the defensive tackle, Dylan Wynn. He cuts him down. But that creates a little bit of a pile as Wynn somersaults. Like his feet made contact with Stanback on that play. Garrett Davis crashing down from the other side to get in on the tackle.
So the first turnover for the Alouettes, the 2nd of the game. And that other turnover led to a Montreal touchdown by Stanback. This time, Hamilton benefits from the turnovers. Mazzoli throws it deep to his right, and a wide open receiver is Mike Jones. Rolled out to the wide side and found Jones for a huge gain down inside the 20 near the 15-yard line for Hamilton.
Mike Jones is lined up as the widest man, the one receiver to the wide side of the field. Everybody's looking at Luke Tasker in the flat. Everybody forgot about the guy running the clearing route. Didn't clear anybody, which left him wide open.
And that is quickly broken up by Antonio Simmons. This is Brandon Banks, and we have not said that name very much tonight, which is somewhat surprising. And negative yardage there for Speedy B.
Banks comes up limping, which is an obvious concern for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And you talk about how important Brandon Banks is to this Hamilton offense. In 27 games as a starter since the middle of that 2017 season, he has averaged just over 100 yards receiving per game, over 6.5 catches per game.
And here's an end zone look to a wide open Mike Jones, but it's a bit too far. Jones did get in behind his coverage, but that falls incomplete, and on comes the field goal unit now for the Tiger Cats on third down.
You see Mike Jones motion down inside before he takes his release. Create a little bit of confusion amongst the defenders here. As he gets in behind Patrick Levels, but he and Masoli just unable to hook up.
This is for the Ticats' first lead of the ball game here in the second quarter. They were down 10-0, and they have scored 12 unanswered points to lead the Ticats by 2. And once again, we see points coming off a turnover. That close to a touchdown for Hamilton.
Only on TSN.
What a great football career it's been for Luc Brodeur-Jourdain, starting at the Laval University, won the Vanier Cup 3 times there, including his final year in 2008, and then his first 2 years after being drafted by the Alouettes, won the Grey Cup in 2009 and again in 2010. And it was planned all along. He started for the Alouettes tonight, and what we already know is his final game and out there now. But very proud of the career he's had. As Montreal has the football now, swinging it out in a dangerous pass. Adrian Tracy trying to get his mitts on it. More on the guy they call LBJ now from John Liu. John?
Thank you, Rod. And it was a tearful LBJ who embraced his fellow offensive linemen and anybody else in hugging range on the Alouette sidelines when he exited the game following the opening sequence and, as you said, his final CFL game. And that CFL career that included 2009 and 10 Grey Cup championships, it came to an end at essentially at the end of last offseason when he decided that the depth on this team was really the writing on the wall, and so he made that decision early in the season. But he's certainly been a resource for the coaching staff and a mentor to his young teammates, which leads the Owls to believe that he could be a coach before not too long. But Brodeur-Jourdain says that he's going to take time with his family before deciding what he eventually wants to do, but it will be something with the Owls in a yet-to-be-determined capacity. Guys?
Well, he certainly should, John, stay with the organization for everything he's contributed so far. Flagged down, by the way, the long attempt from Vernon Adams to Eugene Lewis, the coverage by Delvin Breaux, but the flag was elsewhere, part of the way down the field, also in the backfield of Montreal, as they try to sort this out. Here comes Al Bradbury.
Defensive pass interference. Hamilton, number 24. Major foul, roughing the passer. Hamilton. Both are applied. Automatic first down.
So 2 big penalties go against the Ticats.
We'll take a look first at this roughing the passer call. Shot comes in high on Vernon Adams. Now keep an eye on the one receiver. Top of your screen, Eugene Lewis gets that inside release. Little stop and go move on Delvin Breaux. You see that hand fighting that, you know, you can certainly see at full speed that impeded the receiver a little bit as that ball ended up just overthrown.
So that 35 yards in penalties, and that moves the ball all the way to the Hamilton 40. So the Alouettes, who suddenly trail in this game for the first time here halfway through the second quarter, down by 2. And a challenge flag is out by Orlando Steinhauer on presumably, well, one of these penalties, of course. Challenging the interference. saying that Delvin Breaux did not interfere with Eugene Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
So it is not challengeable, he was told.
The previous play included a play where we had illegal contact, which was upgraded to defensive pass interference. This exact information was not unknown to the Hamilton coach. Once it was explained, he realized he can't challenge. He's allowed to pick his challenge up.
So it does not cost Steinhauer and the Ticats a challenge or a timeout there.
So initially, what they're saying is they had illegal contact on Delvin Breaux because he got in the way. He impeded the receiver, Eugene Lewis. It doesn't become pass interference until the ball is thrown to that receiver. So you see contact between the two early on. At that point, it's illegal contact. Now that Lewis is the targeted receiver, the foul is upgraded to defensive pass interference. So the initial call.
Bottom line, Montreal ball. And it's Bray on the receiving end again for a short gain on first down. That is Quan Bray in his first year out of Auburn. Luc Brodeur-Jourdain. And yeah, I mean, he must have thought in his first couple of years in the CFL, winning is all he'd ever do. Winning that Vanier Cup 3 times and then starting it off nicely. Didn't start in those Grey Cups, Dwayne, but he did play a significant amount of time during the season.
Yeah, a remarkable run for him. This is a guy who was the last player chosen in the 2008 draft. That was a pretty deep offensive line class, but you know, I remember looking at that as a redraft. If they had it to do over again, this is the guy who would have got in the first couple of rounds, clearly.
Adams gets it away under pressure to stand back, and a flag is down in the Alouette backfield again on that 2nd down and 7. There was pressure. Tunda Adeleke coming in, and he had him wrapped just as Adams got rid of the football, but again, flag down.
I'll tell you, this is one of the things that the Ticats really like about Tunde Adeleke. This is a speedster. He was the fastest guy at the CFL Combine in 2017. Now when you're bringing your safety on blitzes, you've got a guy who's a half step quicker than Mike Daly was as the guy playing in that spot last year. And the hope is that that'll allow him sometimes, in addition to the range it gives him on the back end, it will also allow him to get there with that much more frequency when they get him involved in the blitz game.
Holding, Montreal, number 66, 10-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
So they get the left guard, Trey Rutherford, for the holding call. So they were moving up in a hurry on penalties, and now they're going back in the other direction, as this will be a 2nd down and long, about 17 yards for Montreal.
We talked about the building blocks of this Montreal Alouette team. They've got a couple of intriguing ones on that offensive line. Trey Rutherford, the number 2 overall pick last year at left guard, and at right tackle you've got Tyler Johnstone, on whom the Alouettes used a 1st-round pick in the supplemental draft last year, giving up their 1st-round pick here in 2019 in exchange.
Calls Montreal.
So timeout called for the Alouettes now at a point where if they don't advance the ball at all, it would be about a field goal try from Boris Beatty if they wanted to try it from about midfield. He's got a leg. He's hit one from 52 earlier this year, but they need to get a little bit closer. That penalty cost them a chance at points, it would seem. And a reminder, the Thursday night concert series continues. 21-year-old Zach Zoya of Montreal, one of the rising stars. And that's coming up at halftime. Can't stop Dwayne Ford from dancing.
I was listening to a little Zach Zoya in my hotel room this afternoon.
Yes, you were. Well, big play now, and it goes incomplete 2nd down. So there we've got it. And Beatty will come out regardless, of course. I can't imagine at this stage of the game they would try something from midfield, probably just going to punt it away.
When the Ticats have the double threat in terms of returners that they can throw back there, particularly when you're looking at the risk of a missed field goal with both Brandon Banks and Frankie Williams. You know, under the circumstance, I think if you're Montreal, you do exactly what they're doing here. Punt the ball, play for field position.
Frankie Williams back, Jalen Marshall too, and the Beatty low driving punt down near the goal line for Williams. He has a punt return touchdown this season in week 1 against Saskatchewan, but he's not going far there, as it's just outside the 10-yard line. Back, another thought of Luc Brodeur-Jourdain, just the emotions of a career, a decorated career, coming to an end officially today.
As a player, even, you take it for granted that you're going to play again. You're going to play another game. You're going to play another season. But once you get to the last few strides, last few moments, last year I had the opportunity to bring a lot of people for the game, and getting the blessing to know when you're done, when you're choosing to step out of the game, is actually something rare. It doesn't happen often in this league. It is a blessing that I'm getting from this organization, and I'm very thankful for it.
He's been a blessing to the organization, too, on and off the field. A great ambassador, especially in the Francophone community, too. A big completion to Anthony Coombs on the move quickly of the Ticats, and Coombs taking that one off tackle. So number 1, very busy in his first touches with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, moving over in the offseason from Toronto to Hamilton.
Well, you see Luc Brodeur-Jourdain, class act. We heard some great stories about him the last couple of days.
Anthony Coombs again, and a first down up across the 50. So suddenly they were hemmed out near their 10-yard line, and all of a sudden, with that 2-point lead and about 4.5 minutes to go until halftime, we've seen this before from the Ticats. They start to get very productive as the game goes on. That one's to Luke Tasker, back in the lineup as mentioned earlier after missing 2 weeks with a shoulder injury, and another first down for the black, white, and gold.
Yeah, quick hitter to Tasker. You see Coombs in blocking. People are used to seeing him as a slot in Toronto, but a guy who was a running back in college.
Little misdirection to Speedy B. Biggest gain for Brandon Banks, and another first down, and a big one too for the Ticats, as they are now inside the 30. And that seemed to fool the Alouettes defense as Brandon Banks takes it down.
Well, you're going to see Banks coming around from top to bottom on your screen, taking that underneath handoff. Scored his touchdown on a very similar play
last week against the Alouettes. Swinging it up for Coombs. Good job to hang on to the ball. Anthony Coombs is having a good first half, and a gain of about 5 yards inside the 25 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, I started to say earlier, Anthony Coombs' natural position is running back, but people projected him as a slot in the Canadian Football League, as a guy who could do some hybrid things. We've seen him do that already here for the Ticats, but with Sean Thomas Erlington injured, this is proving to be a brilliant signing for the Ticats after he was released by Hamilton. Would have been in Toronto last year with the Ticats offensive coordinator, Tommy Condell.
Mazzoli steps up, has a receiver and a completion down at the 5, just outside the 5, about the 7-yard line. Luke Tasker, and a flag is down as well in the Tiger Cat backfield. The Alouettes pointing Hamilton's way. And it is coming back, a holding call.
10-yard penalty, remains second down
against the Tiger Cats.
Take a look at the pit, left tackle. Riker Matthews having a little trouble with John Bowman on that play. Certainly not the first tackle to find himself in that situation. Working against the veteran.
2:56 on the clock. Last play before a 3-minute halftime warning. It's completed, but Tasker has nothing. Levels takes him down for, looks like, lost yardage on that long second down, or maybe a yard or two, but still a field goal situation now to add to their lead for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The Brick, Thursday Night Football from Montreal.
Rewards points.
Coming up at the half, Mike Benavides breaks down why this is the greatest trap game he has ever seen in his entire CFL career. Also, don't forget Zach Zoya, the up-and-coming hip-hop artist from Montreal. He is on our Thursday night concert series. Let's get you back and join Rod and Dwayne.
Oh, thank you, Kate. And it is great to have Dwayne Ford, one of his favorite dining companions, Mike Benavides, because those guys like to, well, as do I, but it's hard to keep up. Even though I'm bigger, heavier than you guys, it's hard to keep up with you. But great to have Benny back in the studio.
It's great to have Benny back. I'll tell you, though, budgets are tight, so I hope he's brown bagging it tonight.
You got that, Benny? Field goal try here. Welcome back, though. And Lirim Hairelau from 37 yards out and adds to the Hamilton lead. Once down by 10, they have 15 straight points, as Kate talked about. Rising hip-hop star in the Montreal scene, Zach Zoya, is going to perform here at Molson Stadium at McGill at the half of the Thursday night concert series. Thursday night football, all set to go. See Brody Lawson down there on the left, waiting as well. And we'll talk with Zach Zoya as well as she did beforehand to see if he was all set to go. The Alouettes certainly looked set at the start of this game when they scored a field goal and a touchdown on their first two possessions. They had 3 straight 2-and-outs after that, and then a big fumble by William Stanback, and Hamilton ended up cashing in on that with a field goal. Things slowing down in the second corner for Vernon Adams. That one's batted down at the line, so just like that, it'll be 2nd and 10, Montreal.
Ticat defensive line has done a nice job in this ball game, getting their hands up in those passing lanes. Vernon Adams obviously not a tall pocket passing type. You're going to see Dylan Wynn from his defensive tackle spot. This time gets a little bit of push. It's that big left paw on the football.
The Alouettes are closer than they were at this point last week. It was 15-3 at the half. 15-10 right now. Early movement, a flag down on Adrian Tracy. This looks like it'll be against Hamilton, as they're saying they got the turnover, but let's wait and see. Well, they're indicating Hamilton football. Sort out the flags.
Yeah, the guys on the right side of the defense of the front 7 are all celebrating.
Hamilton, number 5, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
And the guys on the left side were just walking back to the line because they knew Adrian Tracy had jumped.
And he's pointing, saying he was drawn offside as you have a look.
He's right at the bottom of that D line. There's a look at Mark Washington, longtime BC Lions defensive coordinator. Guy who played much of his career here as an Alouette before joining the Lions as a free agent.
Vernon Adams started 5 for 5, 79 yards. Completion there. He'd cooled off since 2 for 7 for 9 yards on his next one, but a completed pass there and a first down on a 2nd and 5 for Montreal. So the sticks move. 2:18 on the clock till halftime. Down by 5 and looking to either get closer or take the lead back themselves before they head to the dressing room. Up at their 50. Adams out of the shotgun. Another completion over the middle for Montreal, and that is Jake Weineke, who had a touchdown reception, his first in his young CFL career last week at Tim Hortons Field.
I love the concentration and body control from Jake Weineke on this football. It's just a little bit behind him, but in the air, gets the body turn, brings the ball immediately, covering the points, brings it to his body to secure it, knowing he's going to get contact right away.
First year from the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. First down. Wide side, and it's Quan Bray. Another catch for Bray in his first CFL start.
They're getting some nice production out of Quan Bray in the early going. They're maybe balancing the field a little bit more. As I said, they seem to be a little bit more boundary heavy than normal last week. Bray frequently lining up to the field side here. He's in Eugene Lewis's spot. Lewis shifting to the boundary wideout in place of the injured DeVere Posey tonight. Auburn star, first player in Auburn history to score receiving, rushing, and return touchdowns in the same season.
So a flag down on the carry by William Stanback at both sides, just with the snap of the football. And by the way, 6 catches for 28 yards for Quan Bray in this CFL debut.
If the last name sounds familiar, Quan Bray's cousin, Jason Bray, a former CFL defensive back. Spent a couple of years with the Calgary Stampeders, also spent time with BC, Edmonton, and Winnipeg in the early 2000s. Also an Auburn product.
And making the most of his chance for the next family member in the CFL as they
Offside, Montreal, number 4, the penalty decline, 3rd down.
Now, that's not the opportunity he was looking for, as it is Quan Bray that's called in the offside. So it's 3rd down now in field goal territory to see if they can at least get back within 2 points as halftime gets closer. Matthew Schultz will be the holder. He'll put the ball down at about a little over the 43-yard line for Boris Beatty.
Frankie Williams will be the deep man on this one for Hamilton.
Beatty 3 for 4, longest 52 in the season. 1 for 1 tonight. No problem for the big leg of Boris Beatty. Lots of room to spare, and back to within 2 points. Montreal much closer to Hamilton in this ball game, even at this point, as they get set for halftime. This comes at a time when the Alouettes brought in Tyler Crapigna, who had been with Toronto and, of course, was with Saskatchewan, losing his job after he got hurt. And, of course, Brett Lowther replaced him last year. And Crapigna had been a very good, productive kicker, too. So Beatty looking good right now. Maybe some insurance that they brought in for Montreal on special teams. 1:03 on the clock. Mazzoli certainly has time to do something else. 15 on the board. It's Ackland. He has a touchdown tonight. And a nice touchdown it was, as he just got his feet inside the goal line. His first in his CFL career. And a 1st down and working tempo with the Tiger Cats now. Under a minute to go. A 2-point lead. A 3-0 record. Trying to make it 4-0 for the first time in 30 years. Ackland again. Drives. 1st down. Hamilton on the move across midfield.
Again, Jalen Ackland, a big target. Playing at that wide out spot. We're seeing him start to get a little bit more involved in this offense week by week.
Setting up the screen. Anthony Coombs, he's had a solid first half. After the injury to Sean Thomas, Erlington Coombs takes it, another 1st down and to the 35, and scoring position now at the very least with 35 seconds to go. Mark it at the 36.
So you see Sean Thomas, Erlington done for the night. Anthony Coombs making the most of this opportunity.
What'll Mazzoli do on the run with Levels chasing him? He just throws that one out of bounds. So live for a 2nd down with 25 seconds on the clock. Kate in the panel coming up at halftime, and Zach Zoya as well in the concert series.
Jeremiah Mazzoli does a good job throwing that one away to get the clock stopped. Live to fight another down. The Cats have themselves within Liram Hairualu's range should they not be able to find the end zone here.
Ticats only 3 of 9 on 2nd down conversions. Setting up a draw. Coombs, good gain on the ground on that 2nd down. And knifes his way through the Alouette defense for what appears to be another 1st down. 19 seconds on the clock. Very close to a 1st down.
I've got to tell you, I'm enjoying watching Anthony Coombs get the opportunity to play running back here on a team that uses a Canadian running back. Again, very quickly slotted as a receiver when he came into the CFL.
And right back to the same thing. Coombs, it worked once, it works twice. Another good, solid gain for Coombs on the ground as the sticks move again, and they push down closer inside the 15, the 13 with 11 seconds on the clock. Anthony Coombs with 98 total yards, and this is just the first half. An end zone look. Mazzoli with the flag coming down, receiver coming back towards the ball, but that's about where the flag came down. Tommy Campbell on Jalen Ackland.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Montreal, number 26. Half distance to goal, remains 1st down.
So not Campbell, Greg Reed, the boundary half. is called for that as they move it up. And first down.
Keep an eye on this matchup. You're going to see contact right at the goal line. It decleats the receiver, Marcus Tucker.
And now just 1 second on the clock.
And tough to tell from the wide shot there whether the footing played as much of a role in Tucker going down as the contact did.
So Lirim Hajrullahu from 14 yards out, of course, with only a chance for one more play. They want to take the points, and they do. So impressively driving down after the Montreal field goal. Hamilton answers back with another field goal of their own for Lirim Hajrullahu. Montreal with a surprisingly good start, scoring in their first 2 possessions. Back come the Ticats for a 5-point lead as we head to Cape Burness in the panel.
All right, thank you very much, Rod. And you know what? It was such a great story for Sean Thomas Erlington coming into this one. He had just been named a top performer in June. He was sensational in their game last Friday. And then an injury to his leg. He is done for the game. Davis, you had to feel for the young man at this point. The rookie coming in had 90 family members in attendance, and just his night cut so short.
Yeah, breakout year, #1 in the CFL, coming into the game at running backs, all-purpose yards. And we all sat here and sighed when we saw this terrible injury. We're talking about player safety, and this hit right here is something we need to start discussing. This is not a dirty play, but a receiver or a running back, unsuspecting, he needs to be able to either gather himself and protect himself before he gets hit in the legs by a defender. I think that's important. Guys are getting injured. If you don't have a chance to get out of the way, protect yourself, make an athletic move, you're going to get injured. We see that a lot, and I think it's something we need to look at.
It's sad because, like you mentioned, he was one of the young highlights, young players that we were looking forward to seeing him shine. Definitely at home in front of 90 people that, had tickets coming to witness this. But let's focus on the other side of the ball, one of the young guys that we had our eyes on, Vernon Adams Jr. I can tell you, they gave the ball to this kid early, and, man, he got off to a hot start, getting the ball to William Stanback. Noticing the Sam linebacker to the field here, the trips are into the boundary, so the Sam only stays in the field on 2 occasions. Blitz and zone. He blitzes, William Stanback outflanks the defense, he gets the ball to him. Big completion. Now here he recognizes the split between the two linebackers, anticipation in zones. He threw on time, great completion. But look at here. Uses his eyes to move that same linebacker, Simone Lawrence, to widen with William Stanback, which gets his receiver open, just like a point guard. So maturity is coming about. But to me, this is even more impressive. The fact is, this is a man offensive play. There's nobody running with that receiver. He sees that it's zone coverage, and we talked about his ability to use his feet. The dual threat is applying more pressure to this defense, the Hamilton that is. And look, they've already scored 13 points, and last time I checked, they scored 14 points the last game. So at least they're on par right now to score more.
And, Coach, I mean, this would look a lot better if Montreal was, of course, leading, but you got to admit, it's a little bit of a trap game. And I know you love trap
Kate,
games.
I ain't buying it, Kate. It's not a trap game at all. All it is Montreal's playing good football. When you take a look at, the discipline, the penalties are the same. They're kind of even. As Henry said, they're getting offensive plays and moving the ball downfield. And when you take a look at special teams, their field position start is better than Hamilton's. Right here, you see the kickoff return to start off the game. Good blocking on the edge. They're all given a field return. And as they get the edge all blocked off, then it's wide open for the returner to take it upfield. And my boy, Stefan Logan, getting in the way, getting an extra 10 yards. So that's a great field position start for that score. Then on punt return to the boundary, excellent field position again because it started off right. The guys gave him a nice edge to start off. Good point of attack blocking. All discipline on a touchdown top shoulder. And Stefan gets a return. Now, whoa, Steph. You cannot let the kicker get you, but you know what? That was an excellent field start again. So, it's not a trap game. They're just playing good football, giving themselves a chance, and it's a one-score game.
And that's the big thing. We just want a nice football game, and you guys are so right, too. Stand back right away, getting those touches, and we'll see what they can do in the second half. Meanwhile, it is Thursday night, which means it is the concert series. Zach Zoya, an up-and-comer in the hip-hop scene in Montreal. He's on deck. All right, taking a look at the the rest of the Week 4 schedule on TSN. A little Friday night football action. How about this one for a heavyweight tilt? We got the Blue Bombers taking on the Red Blacks. You can see that 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Saturday, we have our live mic game between the Lions and the Argos. And then, of course, a doubleheader. The Stampeders taking on the Riders. That one going at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Now let's get back to Montreal and join Brody Lawson.
Kate, this Quebec artist stands out for his undeniable ability to both rap and sing, and he's attracting attention all over Montreal. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, give it up for Zach Zoya!
Yeah. I go by the name of Zach Zoya. Hey. Super happy to be with y'all tonight. Yeah. Shout out my boy High Classified one time, man. Hey. Look, time to get my commission, get my bros in the business, but I'm on my way to you. Yeah. No need for commitment, me, myself, and my feelings, but I'm on my way to you. Look, I want glory in the story. Come on, tour. You look bored. I'm on my way to you. Yeah. Oh my Lord, no support. There might be a switch of plans. I'm on my way to you. Yeah. Look. She said I'm about to get that bread. About to be lit like big. She love it when I treat her special. Sorry, but I'm about to switch. She balance had a bottle of bubbly on the butt like that. You thick. I've been in the snow for too long, about to find me at this. I've been making hella moves, oh yeah. I got nothing to lose, oh yeah. Give me a brand new, drop it to the 6, pull up, we need 7 rooms, oh yeah. I've been tripping over shoes, oh yeah. Living in my own fantasy, ain't planning it was meant to be. You don't wanna be enemy. Time to get my commission, get my bros in the business, but I'm on my way to you. Yeah. No need for commitment. Be myself and my feelings, so I'm on my way to you. Look, hands up. I want glory in the story. Come on, tour. You look bored. I'm on my way to you. Yeah. Oh my Lord, no support. There might be a switch of plans. I'm on my way to you. Yeah. I've been trying to live off academic selling mixtapes. I might tap my face, Papa. Call that chick. Seen a couple brothers acting grown, tryna dig. All these brothers hate, ask them, hey, how that I've been tryna live off academic selling mixtapes. I might tell my face, Papa, call that chick. Seen a couple brothers acting grown, tryna dictate. All these brothers hate, ask them, hey, how that seen you at the club, say you drama like shippers. I can see you begging just to make another mistake. Hoping that you can just come along one of these days. Hands up one time, yeah. Time to get my commission, get my bros in the business, but I'm on my way to you. Yeah. No need for commitment. Be myself and my feelings, so I'm on my way to you. Yeah. I want glory in the story. Come on, tour. You look bored. I'm on my way to you. Yeah. Oh my Lord, no support. There might be a switch of plans. I'm on my way to you. Yeah. Talk that shit, man. Yeah, like who that? Yeah, like who that? I ain't see y'all jump. Yeah, like who that? Say what? Say 1, 2, 3. Say what? Like who that? Hair in the air like Bart. Self-made man like Skirt. Say what? Like who that? Live brother light of the dirt. I make it moves calm on purse. Say what? Like who that? North of the land of the free. 3 shot watch on fleek. Say what? Like who that? Made it up, but I might eat. Need my tea, no sleep. Yeah. In my TP, catch me DT, little boy. Yeah. You getting sleepy, time for a PP, little boy. Yeah. Walking around, people looking at me like I ET, little boy. Yeah. Price on low, I'ma give you a crib in Detroit. Yeah. Label color, contract kudo, LeBron. Hey, if you hadn't been briefed, you will soon know, LeBron. Hey, I'm on the Parliament Hill, chilling with liberals. Hey, then we should legalize weed, true that the bad like Trudeau. Brother on the ground, brother on the fine like Nemo. Yeah, stepping out of line. up the dirt. I make it moves calm, punch, say what? North of the land of the free. 3 shot, what you on fleek, say what? Made it up, better might eat. Me and my team, no sleep. Holla, brother, what you mean? It's only me and my team. I got me and Mr. Me. Sorry for messing the scene. Sorry for stealing your spot. Sorry for being a prophet. Sorry for saying it that way, but the circumstances made me cocky. I play this shit like it's lottery. I know you like it on lottery. I know you won't make me a final. I know you won't trip my anatomy. Look, I had to get out the force. Me and the homie divorce. Said I just sell out the store. Me and the money deployed. Don't got no time for no delay. You put my city in the press play. Just like I'm making these Sunday. Like one day with me icy. I'm at the will of the young day. But I'm young, got no license. You tryna flex on me, okay. Got no license. I just be high off that life. Only one man on the mic. I done got tired of night shifts. I need a stack of the profit. My shit priceless. Hang on to it like a lifeless. Wanna make it to your top 5 list. 1, 2, 3, say what? Like who that? Hair in the air like bird. Self-made man like skirt. Say what? Like who that? Live with a lot of the dirt. I make it moves calm. Say what? Like who that? North of the land of the free. 3 shot, what you on fleek? Say what? Say who that? Made it up, better might eat. Me and my team no sleep. Like who that? Hair in the air like bird. Self-made man like skirt. Say what? Like who that? Live with a lot of the dirt. I make it moves calm. Say what? North of the land of the free. 3 shot, what you on fleek? Say what? Made it up, better might eat. Me and my team no sleep. Say what? Say who that? Me and my team no sleep. Say what? Say who that? Me and my team no sleep. Say what? Say who that? Yeah. Say what? Say who that? What? 1, 2, 3, jump. Hey yo, merci Montréal. Mon nom c'est Zach Zoya. Thank you so much.
Salut. Hey yo, Booba, what you doing? Shout out, Jess. Hey yo, Booba, what you doing?
Halftime stats brought to you by The Brick. Currently a 5-point game, but one panelist just told me Jeremiah Masoli is going to throw for 300 yards in the second half.
Time on a muggy night in Montreal on The Brick Thursday Night Football, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats trying to improve to 4-0. Are halfway there if they can hang on here. It's a much closer game. 18-13 over the Alouettes. It was 15-3 at the half a week ago before Hamilton really took over in the second half and ended up winning by 31 and could have won by more than that. But Vernon Adams looking a little more confident at the start, at least 10 for 15, 120 through the air. But that offense, great start, did slow down as the first half continued. So it's Frankie Williams back to return the kickoff from Boris Beatty. Hamilton had won the toss and deferred, so taking the ball in the second half. Momentum had clearly swung the Ticats' way. They had a late field goal on the last play of the half to improve their lead back to 5 points. Off the boot of Beatty. Down to Frankie Williams. As nighttime settles in here on the hill at McGill, and Williams is taken out of bounds across his 20. The first half of Jeremiah Masoli, Dwayne.
Marred slightly by a pick that led to a scoring drive to the Montreal Alouettes, but Jeremiah Masoli, outside of that, has been terrific. He's used his legs a little bit to extend plays, spreading the ball around to a number of different receivers. The contributions of Anthony Coombs have been terrific in the first half as both ball carrier and receiver. It's a Jeremiah Masoli type of night. 75%, over 200 yards already.
Passing right away to Marcus Tucker, who is given a rude greeting there by Greg Reed. In and out of his hand, second down.
Well, if you've heard the expression separating a player from the football, this is a perfect example. Greg Reed lowering the boom on Marcus Tucker just as that ball arrives. Shoulder to the chest.
Physical defense. Second down. Oh, nearly picked off that time. Good coverage in there by Seontae Evans, and the coverage for the Alouettes. So just like that, a very quick 2 and out to start the second half for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Evans had position on that ball. Brandon Banks did well just to prevent the interception here. Working back to the football to get a hand in on it. Evans, who's established himself as one of the top halfbacks in the Canadian Football League over the last couple of years with the Calgary Stampeders, providing some leadership and stability on the back end here for this Alouette squad.
Should be good field position for the Alouettes to start the second half as Hiralau gets it away, and a good punt though, chasing back Steph Logan to his 40. Goes one way, cuts back the other. And trying to find the corner, and he does. He finds the edge, and he's taken out there by Irons. And flags are down though back at the close to the point of the kick by Hiralau, about the Hamilton 15-yard line.
Looks like there was a little bit of roughhousing.
The indication against Montreal.
While the ball is in flight, holding Montreal, number 48. 10-yard penalty, first down, Montreal.
That's Jean-Gabriel Poulin. And Kahari Jones still looking for that first win, and tried to talk his quarterback, Vernon Adams, into having more of an even keel, even approach. And Dwayne, he looked sharp in the first couple of drives.
Yeah, he certainly did. Again, working with good field position, able to play with some confidence. William Stanback contributing in the ground game. All of those things, I think, allowed Vernon Adams to be a little bit more settled in the early going. Seems to have some chemistry with the newcomer, Quan Bray. We'll see if that continues here in the second half.
They scored in their first two possessions, and then the offense went cold for a while. Late field goal. William Stanback, though, he has been quite consistent with the exception of a fumble in that first half. He's had an excellent game so far, and a big carry. Another one for Stanback, well over 100 yards, getting that up to the Montreal 50.
Yeah, lots of credit to Stanback and lots of credit to that young offensive line. The Stanback on that one wasn't touched until he was into the secondary.
So 95 yards on the ground and over 40 receiving. So a lot more than 100 yards combined. 141 combined for William Stanback, but that knocked down, and so we'll have 2nd and 10, Montreal.
Well, again, Adrian Tracy, who I think has gotten his fingertips on a couple of footballs to deflect them in this ball game, ends up knocking that one down. Tracy, who is coming back from injury to start this season, one of the Cats' top pass rushers. They bookended him this year with Jagarad Davis, which should benefit both of those guys in terms of their numbers.
Second down. Big one, too, for Adams. Under pressure, gets away. Vernon Adams on the run. First down. More inside the 40 before he is finally taken down there by Cariel Brooks. So Vernon Adams using his feet, and we've seen that good side of his quarterback play in the past.
Yeah, and I love seeing this from Vernon Adams, and the thing I like about it is it's not a case where he's forcing it. We talked to Vernon about this yesterday, where he said, you know, in college, he used to run all the time, and for the most part, he was a lot faster than the defenders. But he says, up here, you know, the linebackers are faster, the defensive ends are faster. It's harder to run away from people, but you've got to pick your spots a little bit more, and you know, as a quarterback, you have to become a more effective passer because you can't rely on your ability to extend plays all the time.
That inside handoff to Steph Logan goes nowhere. It's lost yardage. They scrimmaged from the 42. That ball is put down at the Hamilton 46. So a loss of 4 and a 2nd and 14 coming up here. And once again, when you're looking at that point in the field, can make the difference between a field goal try or not. And a 5-point deficit for Montreal.
Yeah, positive yardage on this, even if they don't get a first down, is critical in terms of trying to narrow that deficit.
So another big second down, Alouettes. But they're in it. A lot different story than last week. And over the middle, and it's Quan Bray in his debut in the new Alouettes home uniforms, and he gets it down just inside the Hamilton 30, or about the 30-yard line.
Well, this is a young man who impressed during the preseason. Saw him catch a touchdown pass here against the Ottawa Red Blacks.
7 catches, 44 yards. Quan Bray, new name. William Stanback, he's been around a while, and he's having a night. But short yardage there, only 1 yard gain on that first down for Montreal, but definitely within Boris Bede's range now, of course, inside the 30.
Well, I started to talk earlier about Vernon Adams and that running ability, and that, you know, him learning not to try and force it or not rely on it, but the way he described it is, we'll kind of save it for when I need it. And definitely in that instance, he needed it, and it's the kind of thing that'll keep the defense honest, is making sure they stay in contained rush lanes on him.
Throwing again to Eugene Lewis, makes a good move after the near tackle there by Brooks, and that extra effort gets another Montreal first down inside the 20. Alouettes on the move, starting the second half, just over 10 minutes to go in the third quarter.
A quick hitter to Eugene Lewis out on that sideline, high percentage pass. Quick lateral move makes the first defender miss. A stiff arm effort there to pick up a couple extra yards as he battles with Delvin Breaux.
On this drive, 3 for 3 on second down conversion for the Alouettes. And Adams, that one is in behind the intended receiver, Steph Logan. A little dangerous there for Montreal on that first down. Second down inside the 20.
And the Ticats seem to read that flow well, and sometimes it's the risk. You know, Brandon Banks used to go through some of the same thing when he was primarily a returner, and he was almost like a specialty guy, a specialty play guy or a package player on offense, that every time he comes into the game, he may as well be wearing an orange pinny or an orange pylon on his head, because everybody's going to pay extra attention. I think that was kind of what happened to Steph Logan on that play. All the flow went with it.
Quickly back, going to his right and throwing it nowhere. Out of bounds it goes. They'll settle for a field goal try coming up for Boris Bede, which would get them back to within 2 points, where they've been a couple of times in this game. But as said, a stark difference at this point of the game, certainly, compared to last week when they lost going away by more than 4 touchdowns. Staying with it. And I should say the Alouettes trying to avoid an 0-3 start. You might be amazed to know, with their struggles in recent years, they haven't started 0-3 since their first year back in the CFL, moving from Baltimore in 1996. Looking for win number 1 in their third game of the season to start week 4. Boris Bede right through again. 3 more on the board for the Alouettes. Back to within 2. It's the Brick Thursday Night Football in the third quarter in Montreal. And we certainly hope you enjoyed the halftime entertainment, the Thursday Night Concert Series. Montreal's own Zach Zoya standing by now with Brody Lawson.
Zach, what a performance. The energy was insane. What did you think?
Thank you so much. I mean, it was amazing. Damn, I couldn't ask for anything better, honestly.
You're a native Quebecois. What's it like to perform at the iconic Percival Molson in front of this crowd? It's packed.
Definitely a huge honor. This definitely something off my bucket list, so thank you so much to everybody that came and supported.
Guys, I also think we have a new signature move. Can you show it to us for one last time?
Let's do a little something for it.
All right, back to you guys.
Brody, I'm trying it, but I can't get my feet off the ground. Dwayne's doing a better job of it.
I enjoyed the show. I thought the halftime
absolutely.
show was terrific.
Yeah.
One of my favorites since the Thursday Night Concert Series started.
Crowd seemed to respond very well to it as well at halftime. Zach Zoya. And try that move a little later on, partner. Rolling out. Second down and 10 is Jeremiah Masoli, and he's taken down there. Nothing doing. There's a veteran, John Bowman, getting it done for Montreal. Chasing him down and taking him down.
Well, the Alouettes have nice execution of the twist between end and tackle on the right side of that D-line. It frees up Bowman to work inside and track down Jeremiah Masoli.
2 straight 2-and-outs to start this half for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Nice high punt down to Logan from Hiralahu. Flag down for the 15-yard, no yards penalty. John Bowman still going strong here in Montreal in their opener.
TV.
Took too soon on the penalty, not no yards against Hamilton. It was unnecessary roughness for Montreal's Etienne Moisin. So that pushes the Alouettes to start this drive. Back just the brink of their end zone. It'll start at about the 6. They produced a field goal in their last drive to get within 2. After an Alouette field goal, they're trying to follow that up. William Stanback does it nicely. He's over 100 yards on the ground tonight alone. Very productive evening for number 31 in the blue and red.
Well, watching Stanback run the football, it's hard sometimes not to turn into a little bit of a fan. I just love how physical a runner he is, but then you have those moments when he gets out in the open field. There's this deceptive breakaway speed that he possesses as well.
13 carries, 109 yards rushing for William Stanback in his second year.
Always has that forward lead. The pile's always moving in his direction.
Passing quickly. B.J. Cunningham turns around and finds daylight. Frankie Williams chasing him down, but not until Cunningham gets down to the Hamilton 45. Another big play for that Alouettes offense.
Oh, terrific. Coming off great production on the first down run to get them out from under the goalpost. Right there, the defender, Brooks, overruns the play a little bit, allowing Cunningham to spin off and turn it upfield, and if not for the speed of Frankie Williams, that might have gone a longer way.
Gain of 45, and they mark it at the 46 of the Ticats. So already back in the cusp of scoring range here. Standing in midfield to get it away is Adams. Oh, nearly intercepted. My goodness. Frankie Williams would love to have that one back. In and out, but a flag is down back in the Montreal backfield where Adams was getting rid of the football. So it may not have mattered.
Adams under pressure ends up a little bit off the mark. May not only dodge the bullet on the interception, but is going to gain positive
foul, roughing
yards
the passer. Hamilton, number 99, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That is David Dean in his first year out of Virginia, and the one thing Frankie Williams can say is it wouldn't have mattered had he caught the ball.
And I don't think this one's a case where it's an issue with the timing, but rather the location of the contact, high hit. You saw Vernon Adams saying he hit him in the face mask.
Drive continues on penalty. Right there for Quan Bray, and gets near another Montreal first down. He had 7 catches for 45 yards, and then tack on the yardage that he just picked up on that play in a second and about a foot and a half. Quan Bray, first year out of Auburn, his CFL debut.
This is a guy who spent a little bit of time in the National Football League. Terrific success story, Quan Bray. Have a little bit more on him later.
Short yardage. That is just kept by Vernon Adams and keeps the drive going. Down by 2. And certainly in position to take the lead again, which they held for the first quarter and a half. Montreal did.
I mentioned the journey of Quan Bray. This is a young man whose mother was murdered, shot by his father, in fact, as he was about to go into his freshman year at Auburn. But overcame that, had a successful career both academically and athletically at Auburn. Parlayed that into an NFL opportunity and finds his way north this year and having an impact in his first game as a Montreal Alouette.
The injured player, Sean Jamieson, getting up. We'll take a break and be back to Montreal.
1,507 rewards points.
Because of an injury to right guard Sean Jamieson, look who's back and not retired just yet. Luc Jourdain thought he had his send-off when he started the game, just as a nice gesture and a symbol. And Kari Jones said, though, this isn't just ceremony. They wouldn't have done it if they didn't think he could still play. So here he is in his final game, and he's back getting more reps. And in at center as they shuffle things around on that offensive line for the Alouettes at a shotgun. Stanback with the football on 1st and 10, and he is going nowhere. Lots of Ticats there to take him down. Adrian Tracy, Dylan Wynn. 2nd down, lost yardage on that one. Imagine thinking you're never going to play again in your pro career, and suddenly, man down, there you go.
An hour later,
LBJ is back in. Yep.
You know, I remember one of my former teammates and buddies, Mike Dumaresque, used to tell me being the 6th offensive lineman is like the worst job in football because you're not playing on any special teams or anything. You're over there on the sidelines. You know, Mike always used to lament the risk of drinking too much water and then having stomach cramps if you actually had to go in the game.
And back to pass and an end zone look. Oh, interference definitely on Tunde Adeleke on Quan Bray. Lots of contact down, and so that should move right up to the 1 and a 1st and goal for the Alouettes.
Interference. Hamilton, number 2. Ball within goal at the time of the foul. Automatic 1st down at the 1-yard line.
Well, keep an eye on Quan Bray, a speedster himself. Straight down the pipe. Adeleke gets in that chase position. You saw the arm come across the chest while the ball was still in the air. Right here, reaches with the left arm. Quan Bray certainly making his presence known in his first regular season game as a CFLer.
Adamson, the keeper, and 1st and goal, and not going anywhere there. Rodur Jourdain involved in the action. Our producer Chris Edwards had a good idea, Dwayne, that maybe they, you know, it's too bad they couldn't find a way to give it to LBJ for a touchdown. I think this game might be a little too close for them to be playing around that way.
That's really the best idea our producer Chris Edwards has.
He's got a lot of great ideas. Except for dinner last night, he says. No, the Alouettes cannot afford to play around. They need the blocking of number 58, the veteran in his final game. They need the push. They need the touchdown. They're down by 2. They have a great chance to take the lead again against a team that hasn't lost this year. On the toss to Stanback. And he has his 2nd touchdown of the night. And Montreal leads again.
I love creativity over predictability in goal line situation. This is a terrific example. They sell this look as it's going to be an inside run. Everybody tightens up. Stanback last second. Takes off, catching the pitch. Outflanking the defense because everybody's thinking, we got to pitch down, we got to pitch down. He's going up the middle. And there you saw an example as well of the speed we talked about with William Stanback outrunning all the defenders to that corner.
What a night for William Stanback. They'll go for 2. And a jump ball falls down incomplete. Frankie Williams there along with Felix Faubert-Lossier, the ex-Hamilton Tiger Cat. But William Stanback, over 100 yards on the ground, a couple of touchdowns, almost 50 yards receiving as well. And most importantly, the Alouettes lead the Ticats in the 2nd half by 4.
On CTV and TSN.
Well, there's the man of the moment, William Stanback, with his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. Keep an eye here as B.J. Cunningham motions. The defender has to follow him. You see all the space that this creates out on the perimeter on the left side. Eugene Lewis does a nice job blocking on the edge. Doesn't necessarily have to seal Richard Leonard. He just has to get enough to slow him down. He does a perfect job, knows when to let him go so it doesn't become holding. And Stanback just outruns him to the goal line.
And the Alouettes certainly not laying down in this one. They lost it by 31 points last week. A much different outcome here in Thursday Night Football in Montreal. Frankie Williams, his team now playing from behind again. And another aspect is this man, Luc Brodeur-Jourdain, who thought he was done for the night, but an injury in the O-line brought him back in, and then his involvement here on the touchdown.
Well, scores the takedown in the middle. Gets to celebrate with the boys one more time. Shortest retirement ever.
It is. Third quarter total yards. How about this? Montreal 129, Hamilton nothing. Remarkable. Trying to digest that stat, though. And no gain there, too, in the attempt to Mike Jones. And third quarters in the first 3 weeks have been much kinder to the Tiger Cats. Been a lot more productive.
Well, they might have used some of those bullets in the first half as they actually seemed to get going earlier in this ball game than they had through the first couple of weeks of the season. They're struggling to find a little bit of traction perhaps as the game goes on.
Hamilton narrowly beats Saskatchewan in their opener, 23-17. They routed the Argos 64-14 in week 2. They routed the Ticats last week 41-10, but they're in a ball game right now. Down by 4. Mazzoli gets it away, and yes, they finally get yardage in this third quarter. And boy, we have not talked about Brandon Banks much in this game, not like the other games, but he is on the receiving end for a first down for the Tiger Cats.
I like the work that Brandon Banks did as Jeremiah Mazzoli started to scramble on that play. Banks had a crossing route. He had come from the left side of the field all the way across to the right. He sees Mazzoli scramble, sells his guy that he's going deep, and then works back hard to the football as his quarterback comes towards him.
Fast third quarter, 1:30 on the clock. The Ticats trailing a 1st and 10, up around their 40. Under pressure, Mazzoli is down. Bo Banner is there. So is Tommy Campbell. And a big defensive play for the Alouettes. And that is the first sack by the Montreal Alouettes this season. And comes at a pretty big time.
Keep an eye on Bo Banner, bottom right corner of your screen. Tommy Campbell coming from the top. Those two guys converge. And Mazzoli had no place to go. He thought he could spin out back to his right side to get away from the rush of Banner, not knowing that Campbell had come on the corner blitz from the other side.
2nd and 23. Big defensive play, Alouettes. Trying to keep the pressure on. Mazzoli gets away. Looks like he had Mike Jones, but it falls incomplete regardless. And on that turn of events, the punting team comes on for the Tiger Cats in the final 33 seconds of this third quarter.
Montreal Alouettes with a terrific third quarter.
Off the punt by Harrelette. Steph Logan, flag down. The no yards on the catch and a 15-yarder. Well, the biggest and newest movies are on Crave. Don't miss this year's Oscar winner for Best Animated Feature, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now streaming. Subscribe now at crave.ca. See, I tried to read that like Dwayne Ford. Only Rod Black can get Dwayne Ford to read a promo. I wasn't able to do it.
I have to be feeling it.
You got to be feeling it. You're not yet. I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah, I've got something special for some promos.
I like the way you do promos. That's trying to do that one. Well, not the no yards, a holding penalty against the Alouettes to push them back to the 34. But back with the ball and with the lead, 22-18 as the seconds tick away until three-quarter time. Looking like Montreal will take a lead into the fourth quarter. There he goes again. 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards rushing, and much, much more. William Stanback out at the 25. What a night for 31 of the Alouettes.
William Stanback has been an absolute monster. You heard Kahari Jones tell us earlier that they wanted to get number 31 more involved in the game. And number 31, William Stanback, is thriving with the increased workload. 49 yards on that run.
49 yards, over 150 yards rushing on the night. close to 50 receiver. 200 yards combined, looking to keep it going, heading into the fourth quarter in Montreal.
Burger King.
Sweatshirt.
After 3 quarters a week ago in Hamilton, the Alouettes were starting to get blown out. A very different story as they take a 4-point lead into the fourth quarter. And Dwayne, more big production from William Stanback.
Yeah, William Stanback has been unbelievable in this ball game. It just seems like every run, first of all, the offensive line is doing a pretty good job that he's not getting touched in the backfield. But Stanback is a guy who is rarely going to be brought down by first contact. When you talk about yards after catch for receivers, yards after contact are what stands out when you talk about running backs. And William Stanback is terrific at that. Arm tackles are not going to get it done against this guy.
Coming off a 49-yard run, his rushing total over 150. You combine that with his receiving total, he's at 202 for the night with a quarter still to go. He scored 2 touchdowns. He is certainly helping the Alouettes' cause as they look for win number 1 for him, for his head coach, Kahari Jones, too.
Helping the Alouettes chew up the clock in terms of that time of possession. Third quarter, the Alouettes had the ball for 10 minutes and 59 seconds, limiting Hamilton to just 4:01 with the football. Hard for Brandon Banks and Jeremiah Masoli and the rest of the gang to make plays when they're standing on the sidelines.
Such a different story for the Ticats compared to weeks 2 and 3 when they were winning going away at this point in time of the game. Adams looking for more. Looking to the end zone. Oh, the coverage is tight. Eugene Lewis is the intended receiver. No flag down. Good coverage there by Delvin Breaux. Second down.
Alouettes not afraid to test Delvin Breaux. They look like they're looking to see on the challenge.
And a challenge flag is out for Montreal. Kahari Jones thinks it was interference there by Breaux.
Keep an eye on the outside. Number 1 receiver is Eugene Lewis. 1-on-1 against Breaux. And I will admit it, live speed, I thought that contact might have come a little early as the ball arrived here. As Breaux ran up on his back, I think you're going to see this call go in favor of the Alouettes.
Montreal is challenging the previous play for defensive pass interference on their player number 87.
Yeah,
this will be reviewed.
You're right. Looking at it again, he got there before the ball came down, so they've already benefited from a big interference call that got them down to the 1, leading to the late touchdown in the third quarter by William Stanback that gave them the lead. And now it looks like another big PI call is going to go their way on this challenge by Kahari Jones.
I think it was DeVere Posey over there with the iPad who came scrambling over to Kahari Jones to show him that replay, encouraging the coach to throw that challenge flag. Again, you'll see Lewis slowing up to try and get in position to catch the ball. Breaux with his back turned sort of overruns him, runs into his back. Creating contact in what I anticipate will be a defensive pass interference flag.
Big call, too, and an opportunity for Montreal to possibly make it a 2-score game here early in this fourth quarter. So looking like the challenge will succeed as we await the announcement. As we await the call, is it pass interference, Al Bradbury?
After review, defensive pass interference. Hamilton. Ball was in the goal at the time of the foul. Ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
Delvin Breaux called in the pass interference, and for the second time this half, a big PI takes Montreal down to the 1 of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They punch it in. They got a 2-score lead. Last time, they went to Stanback. In the first quarter, they went to Stanback.
What do you think they're going to do here, Rod?
Vernon. Vernon tries to push it. Couldn't do it the last time in that situation, but he does. as we have a touchdown. Montreal Alouettes, another one. The quarterback on the keeper. This game is looking like a keeper for the Alouettes if they can just hang on. Of course, in the CFL, you never know, but this is not something a lot of us would have anticipated at this point in time, early fourth quarter, and a lead of at least 10 points.
And I'm not giving you credit for the correct prediction on what they were going to do, because they moved everybody out of the backfield. They left no doubt that it was going to be a quarterback.
Yeah, but didn't I call it before that?
I don't
think
we
need the judges ruling on that. We'll have to rack that back sometime and see. Yeah, maybe I waited a little too long to make the prediction. 3 plays, 76 yards for the Montreal Alouettes, including, once again, aided and abetted by a big pass interference call against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That one, Delvin Breaux on Eugene Lewis, that put it down to the 1.
I'll tell you what, the last couple of weeks, it seems to me that the Alouettes have challenged Delvin Breaux a little bit more than teams typically have the last couple of seasons.
Went after that time, and it ultimately paid off. Boris Beatty with the conversion, 28-12. A 12-point Montreal lead. What a night for Vernon Adams. Celebrating in style. There's a gift for somebody from the Brick Thursday Night Football.
Starting Tuesday, only on CTV.
Thursday Night Football on TSN is presented by the Brick, saving you more. Turns out I'm neither a psychic nor a math major. That would be 29-18, and that would therefore be an 11-point lead. Nonetheless, I was right about calling it a 2-score game for Montreal as Vernon Adams tries to fire me up here at Molson Stadium in their home opener. And it is looming right now as a memorable night for the home crowd and the home team. With that much time to go in the fourth quarter. Very quick drive in the fourth. Back to their lead off the foot of Beatty. Down for Frankie Williams at his 5. Ticats suddenly have some work to do. Williams ridden down after a solid return up to the 35.
Well, there you see the points put up by the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the second and third quarters combined of their games thus far this season, essentially telling you in their victories they've done their damage through the middle part of the ball game. Through the second and third quarters tonight, particularly on the strength of the big third quarter, the Montreal Alouettes have tied the Hamilton Tiger Cats in what has been Ticat territory first 3 weeks.
81-19 until tonight, the difference for Hamilton. And yes, what a difference. And an even 12-12, and that's Anthony Coombs, who has had a very solid night, although things have been a lot quieter for the Ticats offense lately.
Well, Anthony Coombs seemed to really sparked the Tiger Cat offense in the second quarter of this football game, but I don't think he had a touch in the third.
Not many did. And it's Tucker, the intended receiver, and that falls incomplete. And just like that, 2 and out for the Tiger Cats, down by 11 points.
Well, still lots of time left in this ball game. At over 13 minutes, but all of the momentum favoring the Montreal Alouettes here. They've done a terrific job, Rod, in this football game from a defensive perspective of limiting the big plays. They've kept Hamilton from breaking any big ones.
Coming up quickly for it on the hop and the no yards, Steph Logan on that return. Williams stand back. He was a backup to Tyrell Sutton last year. Sutton got traded to BC, and it is certainly Stanback's job now. He's made the most of it tonight.
Well, you're getting a full indication of what the Montreal Alouettes brass saw in Williams Stanback and gave them the confidence to trade Tyrell Sutton last season. Williams Stanback is the real deal. Force in this football game. The confidence given to Vernon Adams and the confidence given to the Montreal offensive line by having that success running the football.
Stand back again. Stand back and watch. Up across the 50. Inside that yardage in Tiger Cat territory again. He is But 213 yards on the ground. He's got a couple of touchdowns. And just a memorable night that just continues. He has been a beast on the ground.
Let's watch the work of that offensive line. Doing a nice job. LBJ getting the most out of his final game, working up to second level off the double team there.
This is a memorable night for a retired football player. Hangs them up, keeps the gear on, gets back in the game, and his team is winning. And that's Adams taking off, calls his own number, and a good gain on first down for Vernon Adams.
Good gain and a good decision by Vernon Adams. Saw an opportunity when he was under pressure. Again, not forcing the run, not relying on the run, but when an opportunity is there or when the need is there, making the most of his athletic attributes.
6 carries for Vernon Adams, 32 yards, and he does have that touchdown on the keeper, the last score for the Alouettes early in this fourth quarter. And his passing, he's gone over 200 yards for just the second time in his career as a starter. The last one was against the Ticats in 2016. More from Stanback. They keep it on the ground. Why not? Because it's another first down for this impressive-looking Montreal offense.
Well, and we talk about Kahari Jones as the head coach, but let's talk about the work of Kahari Jones, offensive coordinator in this football game. He's doing a terrific job mixing things up, keeping balance between run and pass, and he's got the Tiger Cats defense off balance. On that last play, you can see the Tiger Cats defensive line flying upfield as Stanback's going the other way.
Alouettes starting their drives in this half with big runs by William Stanback. 20, 12, 49, 12, 11 Stanback. And a look deep. Adams, it has him. They say yes, it's a catch by Eugene Lewis, who dropped it after he'd gone out of bounds. So first and goal, Montreal looking for more.
Oh, this is Eugene Lewis once again working against Delvin Breaux. Breaux up in press coverage on him. Great release from Lewis to the inside to get in behind. Still tight coverage, but a perfectly thrown ball by Vernon Adams. He's able to spot the ball like that because he's got protection. He's got time.
And the challenge flag is out on whether or not that ball was caught. I'm sure. Did he have control of it as he headed out of bounds? Eugene Lewis, Orlando Steinhauer with a big challenge here. With his Ticats, really can't afford to fall behind much further as they are down by 2 scores, 11 points right now.
Hamilton is challenging the previous play, feeling that it's an incomplete pass. This will be reviewed.
This is what he's challenging. What could loom as a dagger for the Alouettes as they get on the brink of the end zone. If this does count, we'll be back with the result.
That's Help at a Glance with Nest Hub by Google Nest.
Was it a catch by Eugene Lewis, or is it incomplete? This is a big one, especially for the Ticats, their challenge. And here's Al Bradbury.
After review, the ruling on the field has been overturned to an incomplete pass. It's second down at the 36-yard line. Second down.
A big challenge by Orlando Steinhauer, ruling that Eugene Lewis did not have possession of the ball, dropping it after he hit the ground, falling out of bounds, Dwayne.
Yeah, and let's take a look here. You know, we often talk about surviving that contact with the ground. The argument I'm going to make here in terms of, regardless of what the interpretation is, perhaps what the interpretation should be, if he has control of the ball before he goes out of bounds, doesn't matter what happens once he's out of bounds.
And it certainly is a significant challenge, although there is a late flag down. Vernon Adams was hit after he threw it, that pass falling incomplete. So perhaps this drive will continue when it looked like the Alouettes had been reduced to third down. Dylan Wynn in there getting the hit on Vernon Adams. Jeff Reinbold.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Hamilton, number 98. 15 yards, automatic first down.
Dylan Wynn, just after Adams got rid of that football.
Yeah, late arrival on the scene.
Penalties have been very costly for the Tiger Cats, especially in the second half. That sustains a drive. It would have been a field goal situation instead, and they kill more on the clock as well to get down near 10 minutes and a 1st and 10, and contact right at the line of scrimmage. The ball was being snapped, and it's Stanback again. William Stanback, a hat trick of touchdowns.
He's a bad man, William Stanback. This is a play that looked like it was going to be stuffed in the backfield until you realize William Stanback is never brought down by the first tackler. Avoids, runs through arm tackles, little high hurdle, and into the end zone. He has been unconscious tonight.
Extraordinary night for second-year man William Stanback. Beatty again, up and through. He's been busy doing that lately. Thanks in large part to William Stanback, who has 3 touchdowns. He has 196 yards rushing to go along with the 46 through the air.
Well, you can't take him high because he'll run through that. You try to take him low, he goes airborne. It's a terrific effort from William Stanback.
And he is getting very close to something else, my friend, a name you and I both know well. The last Alouette, he's at 196 now with that touchdown. The last Alouette to rush over 200, a guy by the name of Mike Pringle. And that was close to 21 years ago, October 17th, 1998, against Toronto. And he was a legend on the ground in the CFL.
Certainly was. Retired as the CFL's all-time leading rusher.
If William Stanback doesn't already know, someone should explain to him what an honor it would be to be put in the same company as one Mike Pringle, one of the legendary running backs in Canadian Football League history. It'll take a lot more than that to compare a career, of course, as they fake the reverse, and Frankie Williams is still going. And he does get it up across the 30 for the Ticats. But as far as a single game goes, you can put that performance by Stanback at this point in time just about up against anybody.
A very impressive night for this young man. I think most observers would have told you coming into the season that for the Montreal Alouettes to be successful, they were going to have to ride number 31 a little bit. And that has come to fruition tonight.
I don't know how many people saw this coming on this Thursday night in Montreal after the beatdown the Ticats laid on the Alouettes, and they could have won by more than 31. There was a goal line stand. There was an interception in the end zone as the Ticats were trying to go in again. They could have won by more. Well, what a difference a week makes.
Well-deserved oxygen break over there on the sidelines.
He's been using up a lot of it, hasn't he? Running hard.
If he's sucking wind, think about how the Hamilton defense feels right now.
True enough. Ackland, he has a touchdown in the night. That seemed like a long time ago, Jalen Ackland for Hamilton. That was back in the first quarter. And they need to work tempo now. They're down by 18. 36-18 Montreal. 8:15 on the clock in the fourth quarter. Ticats at risk of losing for the first time this season. It's Malik Irons. If you didn't know, Sean Thomas Erlington, the big story in the offense for the Tiger Cats coming into this game, and a Montreal native, anticipating a big showing from his family and friends, unfortunately injured and did not return. There he is now, but a very disappointing night for him, and of course a couple of levels now. But for the Ticats and the crowd, fans, including many cheering him on. A difficult one, and hopefully that injury is not too severe. Mazzoli to a wide open Jalen Ackland down inside the 25 for the Alouettes.
Now, I could have sworn it looked to me like the receiver right here, man inside of him, sorry, the number 3 receiver on that side, even slowed down because he thought he was offside. Sometimes when you watch the waggle, you swear it happened so many times and you slow it down and realize it didn't, but on that time you're right. That was Ticats got away with it. That was a head start, if ever there was one. But on the incompletion, it is a second down. That's the 24 of Montreal. Brandon Banks, only 3 catches tonight. Luke Tasker, very quiet too. He's in the lineup. He's out there right now, but he looks like he banged up that shoulder again in the first half. Ticats need a touchdown. They need it soon. They get closer. There's Tasker, his first catch in a while, and it's a first down, so the sticks will move. Or will they? Looked like he had enough from that point of view. Yeah, he appeared to be right at that marker. So they still haven't a chance, the scrimmage marker yet. Chain gang. Now there they go. Slow off the mark. They say they're making a liar out of me. Inside the 15. Right about a 10-yard catch for Luke Tasker. And now the Tiger Cats obviously need to get points here. They got to score. But the other thing that's big here is by actually putting together a drive, which they hadn't at all in this second half, they actually give their defense a bit of a chance to get a break and maybe have a strong defensive series and get a quick stop as well. There's a touchdown, Hamilton. Desperately needed. Jeremiah Mazzoli to Marcus Tucker. And his first touchdown. And Hamilton getting a little closer now. Yeah, Marcus Tucker, the rookie out of Northern Michigan, first got into the lineup when Luke Tasker went down in week 1. And then with the injury to Braylon Addison, was able to stay in the lineup with Tasker returning this week. So after the touchdown, 6 more on the board. They're going for 2 more, which would make it a 10-point game. Lobbing it in for Tucker again, who catches all 8 of those points. The touchdown, the 2-point convert after a 7-play, 74-yard drive in just under 4 minutes. Not over yet, but the Ticats still need a couple of scores here in the Brick. Thursday Night Football, 5:20 to go in Montreal. Big touchdown drive for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Marcus Tucker on the receiving end and the 2-point convert from Jeremiah Mazzoli, who's gone over 300 yards passing again, by the way, but needs a whole lot more, I should say. I would think, as they're 10 points behind still with 5:20 to go in the clock here on Thursday Night Football. Will the Ticats still be unbeaten?
Get him in.
There are 2 more unbeaten teams looming tomorrow night, Winnipeg and Ottawa. And this is how it played out. Just when Hamilton's situation was looking bleak, Dwayne, they marched down the field and cap it off with this. That big play, nice route by Marcus Tucker. You saw the fake to the inside, got the defender to bite hard before that outbreak, and then sits it down. Beautiful catch in traffic over top of Greg Reed for the 2-point convert. Luke Tasker was actually wide open on the other side. The Cats took the hard way. Fortunately for them, it worked out. And got them with the 2-point conversion to 26 on the board, 10 down.
The pressure's on the defense right here.
But as you pointed out, they at least got a bit of a rest with that drive. And it's Adams. Everyone went for Stenback. And look at the room that Vernon Adams has on the ground. Another big carry for the quarterback of the Alouettes, who gets it up near midfield.
Brilliant play call. William Stenback has absolutely gashed the Hamilton Tiger Cats defense time after time tonight. So who do you think they're going to be keying on when they're trying to run the clock and protect the lead? Well, of course, we're going to follow 31 out of the backfield. He goes this way, so does the entire defense. Vernon Adams could have walked.
Well, as it stands, he is 60 yards rushing tonight. Vernon Adams, quite a night. And once again, the Alouettes start a drive, as they have all half, with a big run. And nothing can wear a defense down like a good running game. Montreal has certainly had that now, though not much doing right there on first down. But the clock becomes an enemy to the Ticats too, as it keeps ticking, and it's now under 4 minutes to go.
Well, the combination of clock and field position, quite frankly. I mean, even if the defense were to get a stop now, a good punt from Boris Beatty, and the Ticats have to go a long, long way to score.
And they would need a touchdown and a field goal, at the very least.
Or some would argue a field goal and then a touchdown.
Oh, there you go. Bringing it up last week. Well, that piqued our interest Thursday night when Edmonton chose to go that route. They had trouble finding the end zone, though. And the Ticats at least have had more success that way, but that long pass falls incomplete. But that got a lot of people talking, that decision by the Eskimos. They were hurt a lot in that game by penalties. The Ticats have been hurt a lot in this game by penalties, especially those big PIs.
Yeah, no, and I understand. A lot of people are going to question it. It's funny sometimes. Football, baseball, so many sports. You know, people get caught up in how we've always done it, that everybody freaks out a little bit when someone makes a decision that's outside of the box or that's based on a hunch or a feeling based on being in the flow of the game.
And they had a chance twice after the Harris fumble last week, at least to go for it, but they were just, it didn't look like they were going to find the end zone. They never did, and just couldn't rely on the Sean White field goals. Winnipeg's defense did a good job of not breaking after bending. Jeff Reinbold, special teams coach, out talking it over. And by the way, it's Brandon Banks back for the Ticats. He has touchdowns receiving, rushing, and on a missed field goal return over 100 yards for a touchdown. He does not have a punt return touchdown yet this season. Ticats could certainly use one from him now. It's been a quiet night for Speedy B, awaiting the Boris Beatty punt. Banks standing at his 10. And they push him off to his left, and out of bounds it goes. No chance at all to get that ball.
Magnificent,
get a return.
Magnificent punt from Boris Beatty.
45 yards and in a perfect spot to hem the Ticats deep. All right, tennis fans, Wimbledon action will continue tomorrow with more Grand Slam play. It's day number 5, coverage beginning at 6 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Pacific, and it keeps rolling all day long. That is only here on TSN.
Spend the whole day in front of the TV tomorrow. You've got Women's World Cup soccer.
Yeah.
You've got Wimbledon tennis.
You do.
And you've got Friday Night Football.
I was going to say,
Friday Night Football.
Don't you forget it. We get the Bombers and the Ottawa Red Blacks, 2 2-0 teams. Be back in studio with the guys. Brandon Banks, the touch there. And there's a flag. They discuss it back in the Hamilton backfield. 3:01 to go, but I'm sure the Red Blacks, this has piqued their interest too. Hamilton, Ottawa had the bye, so Hamilton at 3-0, and they'd be 3-1 tonight here in week 4, and the Red Blacks would have a chance to move to 3-0 if they could beat Winnipeg. Of course, Bombers thinking the same thing. A good matchup tomorrow night at TD Place in Ottawa. Following that, doubleheader Saturday, BC and Toronto, and then the Calgary Stampeders.
The Dickinson.
Saskatchewan, yeah, I mean, Big Brother Dave coming in.
Version 1.
And Craig coming off his first win as a head coach just on Monday in Canada Day against the Toronto Argonauts. So they met in the preseason, but this is different. This is for keeps. And their first regular season meeting of the brothers as head coaches. I love the head coaching story coming into tonight. We had great conversations yesterday with both Kahari Jones and Orlando Steinhauer, both getting their first chance to be a head coach in the CFL after many years as an assistant, and both of them with excellent careers as players too. Khari Jones, a
Major
quarterback.
foul, unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 57. This will be applied at the end of the play. Second down.
Now I am going to point out, because we owe this to Orlando Steinhauer, that last week we showed Khari Jones completing a touchdown pass against Orlando. Orlando did have 4 career interceptions against Khari.
So that's why he wanted to make good and sure that you were aware of that.
That's right.
When he was talking about it yesterday. So here we go, Ticats deep in their own zone, needing more, and that is Luke Tasker, ever dependable, and up around near first down yardage. Very close to it as we're down under 3 minutes to go, 2:55 on the clock. That's the warning. That's a first down, Hamilton. And that score is an Alouette 10-point lead, looking for win number 1 of the season.
You're the wag.
Hi, guys.
Hey! All y'all backups. Y'all, and you don't got no real players. You know, y'all all system players. What up? Live on TSN.
Now from mic'd up players to behind-the-scenes action, CFL Wired returns Thursday, July 11th, bringing you exclusive access to the latest CFL football highlights. You can catch it at 7 Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, only on TSN. Then a flag down and a player down, a player down back in the Hamilton backfield after that play.
Big gain on the play. I believe it's Chris Van Zyl.
Number 54, the right tackle. It is indeed the man who's in his 12th year out of McMaster, all his career with the Toronto Argonauts until this one.
So for Chris Van Zyl, yeah, all of his games played with the Toronto Argonauts. Actually, originally a Montreal Alouette draft choice back in 2007. We talked a little bit about Chris last week. And the fact that he's one of the last men, he and Kelvin McCarty, the last 2 standing from that 2007 draft class. For Chris Van Zyl down here, the right tackle. Bottom of the line. Watch the defender inside of him.
And his right leg.
Yeah. Woody Barron's left leg, it looked like clipped Van Zyl's right leg. Great story, Van Zyl, a defensive lineman at McMaster. There's former teammate from his rookie days, John Bowman. The defensive lineman at McMaster, we were talking to him about it before the game. As you know, I like my draft history, my draft quirks. So there are about 5 offensive linemen chosen ahead of Van Zyl, who was a D lineman. But in the entire draft class, the only other player from that 07 draft class who started a game at offensive line was Andrew Jones, who was his defensive line mate at McMaster. Both converted to O-line when they reached the CFL.
And that time, it looks like they got early movement. We were talking about how Ticats got away with one earlier. We'll see what this call is, but the flag came out just as one of the waggling Ticat receivers crossed the line of scrimmage. A couple of flags down, though, on both sides of the field.
Offside, Hamilton, number 15. Penalty decline, second down.
Yeah, they got Marcus Tucker that time. But it's interesting. You could be a defensive lineman through college and just switch over and have the pro career, especially the kind of career that he had. And is having.
A guy who turned into a tremendous.
Mazzoli throws it away on second down and 20. And barely 2 minutes left and still a 10-point ball game.
And a rather massive 3rd and 20 here, facing the Hamilton Tiger Cats. As an aside, Kay Okafor, who comes into the ball game at right tackle for Chris Van Zyl, another converted D lineman. Okafor out of St. FX.
And they move like a holding call. They move it up now, or excuse me, a defensive penalty up 10 yards. And Hamilton does get a first down. Ackland on the receiving end. So a first down inside the 45. Little confusion there with the yard markers. Illegal contact. So a first down for the Ticats, 2:09 on the clock.
The Cats doing everything in their power to make this ending interesting.
Mazzoli under pressure, flushed out to the left, completes it to Tucker, who gets bumped, or Speedy B, excuse me, Brandon Banks on the receiving end, and gets up near another Hamilton first down, just under 2 minutes to go.
How about the balance on Brandon Banks? There's a pretty good collision here. It actually looked like the Alouette defender, Glenn Love, kind of rolled an ankle or twisted a knee coming off of the collision with Banks. He's down on the field. Brandon Banks just kind of bounced off of that one, got knocked a whole bunch of yards back, but then kept on going to turn it upfield.
And as said, a quieter night for Brandon Banks compared to the magic he'd been working in the first, especially in week 2 and week 3. But 5 catches, 75 yards receiving, so quiet night for him. On the hit there by Glenn Love, and twisted that right leg after Banks got free.
Yeah, very awkwardly, kind of lost his balance off of the contact. Watch the right lower leg of Glenn Love. After the contact here, he kind of catches a toe, but really seemed to.
Second and 3, Anthony Coombs, first down Hamilton, a little bit more inside the 30. Ticats, 1:52 on the clock, needing a touchdown and a field goal, and a very similar dynamic, as Dwayne talked about earlier, to last Thursday night's game in Winnipeg with the Eskimos and the Blue Bombers, needing the 2 scores and running low on time.
Can't go one without.
Just inside the 30. On the first down, Mazzoli steps up, crosses the line of scrimmage. A flag is down as he's getting escorted out there by Patrick Levels. Clock down to 1:36.
On a heads-up play by Mazzoli, rather than trying to scramble to get an extra few yards, he heads for the sidelines to get that clock stopped.
Illegal contact on the receiver. Montreal, number 3. 10-yard penalty. First down.
So Levels, who later on escorted Mazzoli out, got called for illegal contact, and that moves it inside the 20 and a first down for the Ticats. Hamilton comes into this game at 3-0. The Alouettes come into this game at 0-2. The Ticats on that 3-0 start, it's their best since 2004. They were trying to push it to 4-0, which would have been their best in 30 years since 1989. But barring some drama here, Montreal's looking pretty good as Mazzoli tries the end zone. Mike Jones hanging on to that football and just outside the end zone. It'll be a 1st and goal for the Ticats. They need a touchdown and a field goal, but a flag is down. And lo and behold, as they discuss this is coming back.
Hamilton, number 59, 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
Kay Okafor is in for Chris Van Zyl. The injured right tackle is called for the hold. And how close was that to the Ticats getting the touchdown they need and getting within a field goal in the dying minutes of this game?
A terrific acrobatic catch as you see Okafor haul down his defender.
Further back, they try again, and Enoch Mwamba's there pushing Brandon Banks back to the 30, so 1:20 on the clock. And it'll be a long second down for the Ticats. Nice catch.
Holding penalty Obviously proving costly, as the Cats would have been right down at the 1-yard line, could have punched it in quickly. But instead having to chew some more time off the clock as they try to find the end zone.
Fans here at Molson Stadium getting fired up. This is their home opener after 2 on the road, both in Edmonton and in Hamilton for the Alouettes in week 1. Montreal was down by a couple of touchdowns. They came back. They tied it at 25 with only a minute or so remaining. It was a late drive with Trevor Harris and the Eskimos to ultimately win it by 7. But they didn't make it easy on them. And then, of course, it was the 41-10 loss for Kahari Jones in Hamilton last week. But win number 1 is getting awfully close, 36-26. And I was talking about the history for the Ticats. It amazed me to see with their struggles lately that Montreal hasn't had an 0-3 start since 1996, and it's looking like they could avoid that tonight. Not over yet, though. Mazzoli, and just throws it away, and it'll be 3rd down with the field goal team coming on. Hairelahu, they need, as said, they need a touchdown and a field goal, so they'll kick their field goal on 3rd down now. If they get it, they'll be within a touchdown. Of course, they got to get the ball back with only 1:06 on the clock.
A drive that started off looking kind of promising for the Tiger Cats in terms of the rate at which they were making their way down the field. But things got bogged down. They chewed about a minute off the clock, only to settle for a field goal.
Liram Hairelahu knocks through another one. 3 more on the board. And we do have a 1-possession game. Montreal leading it by 7 points. 36-29 with 1:03 to go. And the Ticats need their defense to help them out big time now and get the ball back.
Anticipate.
Or a short kick, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say anticipate the hands team coming out for the Alouettes. And some anticipation of that short kick from the Tiger Cats with a minute to go.
It's a brilliantly executed short kick last week in Calgary. It sparked the Stampeders' dramatic comeback, 11 points down with under 3 minutes to go. Led to the Nick Arbuckle to Eric Rogers.
2 kickers here for the Cats.
Using them both, and Hairelahu does it. And did he touch it before it went out of bounds?
Or did he touch it before he went out of bounds? Chris Fry, the linebacker. So you see the 2 kickers. Gabriel Amaviska fakes the kick. Liram Hairelahu does kick it, but Chris Fry steps out of bounds before he touches the ball. So this should go as illegal.
Well, if he's in the air, if his left foot was in bounds.
Yeah, we'll try to take another look here as to whether he stepped out of bounds, if he stepped on that line before he touched it.
If he stepped on the line. If he didn't step on the line, oh yes, he did.
That left foot,
he definitely
so
did.
He's now out of bounds. He can't come back in bounds.
The ruling on the field is that the kickoff was out of bounds when it was touched by the Hamilton player. Therefore, it's an illegal kickoff. It'll be Montreal's ball, 1st down.
Yeah, the ball wasn't actually out of bounds.
So 1:02 on the clock, and it's become that much more perilous for Chris Fry and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, product of Michigan State. Jeff Reinbold, the special teams coordinator, arguing, but to no avail, as it is Montreal football, as the Alouettes are closing in on their first win of the season. They had an 0-2 start a couple of times in the last 23 years. Last year they started 0-2, but they went to Saskatchewan and they won in week 3. So looking to improve their record to 1-2 again. Stanback. Tremendous night on the ground, especially for the Montreal Alouettes. And that puts him over 200 yards. First Alouette running back to go over 200 since Mike Pringle in 1998. Remarkable night for number 31.
Well, I think the Montreal Alouettes have found the formula that they want to follow. And that's going to be to rely heavily on William Stanback. You've got an offensive line with 2 first-year starters.
Big second down here. Stanback again. And they do stop him. They do prevent the first down. So 53 on the clock, and the Alouettes will be punting to hem them deep. And it'll be just seconds remaining for Jeremiah Masoli and the Hamilton offense to see if they can march the field. And they need a touchdown.
Well, Jeremiah Masoli. If Boris Beatty is able to come up with another masterful punt like he did last time, get it out of bounds, no return down around the 10-yard line.
We saw Brandon Banks in the last return, but make no mistake, Frankie Williams is a dynamic returner too, and he's back there. He has a punt return touchdown in week 1. And it's partially blocked, and it goes into the hands of an Alouette, but yeah, that's Greg Reed, but to no avail. I mean, flag is down, but it is going to be good field position, at least much better field position for Orlando Steinhauer's Tiger Cats to work with just 30 seconds on the clock. They still need some magic, but it's just a little bit more possible now than it would have been had that punt hemmed them deep.
Jeff Reinbold's special teams unit gets it done. Good push up the middle to collapse it.
And it's Fry.
That it is.
Fry was the one that was called out of bounds on the short kick, the backup linebacker. So Chris Fry Jr.
job. Yeah, using that left arm to fight off the block.
In his first year at a Michigan State, Chris Fry gets a piece of it, and it gives...
The previous play is under review by the command center.
As they review it again, they're going to take... in and then contact with Beatty as he comes down.
Yeah, I mean, Beatty's ankle gets clipped. The left foot lands. He doesn't have a chance to get his right leg back down and before that contact occurs.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the rule changes was that even if you do get a piece of the ball, you can't contact the kicker. So it's under review right now as he does roll into his plant leg.
Yeah, before he was able to land and get his other foot back on the ground.
That never used to be an issue if you got a piece of the ball.
I expect.
Looks like a roughing the kicker call will be coming up.
I expect a roughing the kicker call based on what we saw in that replay. Terrific effort nonetheless from Chris Fry. He's doing what he's got to do in the situation.
And not much he can do to avoid Boris Beatty there if he wants to get a piece of the ball.
Yeah,
but
he's fighting off a blocker.
To protect the kickers, that was they made a change that it used to be if you got a piece of the ball, you'd be okay. Here's the call.
After review, we have roughing the kicker, Hamilton number 33. We also have no yards, Montreal 26. These will be balanced at the previous line of scrimmage, but it will be an automatic first down for Montreal.
And that should just about do it. So another costly penalty, although this time it's a more understandable one. for Chris Fry as he made the effort and got a piece of the ball. But 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, well, a couple of strokes of bad luck, quite frankly, for Chris Fry in the final minute of this football game as he makes a couple of terrific hustle plays on special teams, but it's just by a matter of inches, ends up unsuccessful on both.
Victory formation for a team that has been in search of a victory. And look at that, Kahari Jones gets his first coach's bath, and I'm sure it feels good for one of the great figures in the Canadian Football League for over 20 years as a player from 96 to 08, and as a coach since then, first time as a head coach. You know, it's a hot night. I think in November that'd be a problem, but thankfully for that man, he doesn't have to wait till then. A nice hot night for the Montreal Alouettes, who had several hot spells, more than enough for a good victory and avenging that decisive loss in Hamilton a week ago.
As Kahari Jones gets the first victory of his career, Luc Brodeur-Jourdain gets the last of his career.
And what a retirement gift it is. He wouldn't ask for anything more but to come back into the game and be a part of this victory. The first for the Alouettes and the first loss for Orlando Steinhauer this season for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Well, the Nissan Titan Player of the Game is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the CFL.
Well, is there any doubt? 23 touches in this football game, 249 yards from scrimmage, 203 of them on the ground, and 3 rushing touchdowns. William Stanback was absolutely the story. He set the tone for the Montreal Alouettes. He made life easier for Vernon Adams Jr., who turned in a strong performance. Great work from his offensive line, but William Stanback is tonight's Nissan Titan Player of the Game.
Remarkable night for number 31 in his second year, his best game by far, and Vernon Adams has to feel good as he has his most productive night passing as well and running the ball for over 60 yards, so that team no longer unbeaten. There are 2 that still are, Winnipeg and Ottawa, and they meet on Friday Night Football tomorrow night at TD Place. What a night here in Montreal. The Alouettes get on the board with a 36-29 victory from all of us here at Thursday Night Football. Thanks for watching and have a great night.